Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
TikTok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. Your friendly neighborhood philosopher here, D Wood, with me. I have the Robin to my Batman, AP. AP, I just called you Robin and made myself Batman. How does that feel?
That's pretty based, since I'm robbing people left and right. So yeah.
And we've got one of the most confusing individuals on the planet, who's muted his own laughs. We've got Isa Kabir, a Jewish Muslim. If you're thinking, no, you can't get away with that, he's Sufi. We give Sufis get a little more leeway on some of this stuff. And Isa, I forget the exact background because this was a while ago, but if I recall correctly, one parent Jewish, another parent Muslim, and so you're a kind of hybrid. And just break that down for everyone. This is better.
Sure. My mom's family's Jewish. They're kind of like secular humanist Jews.
Jewish.
And my dad's family are Sufi Muslims. Yeah.
And so I'm actually legitimately interested in your perspective on the situation in Israel, because I have no idea what you would say. You're a conglomeration of all these different positions, and like I remember you saying you're really big on what is it, DEI stuff and so on. So you sound far left, but so anyway, I have no idea what your position, but you're also Jewish, so I don't know what you would say on some of these issues. So anyway, we have a variety of topics we're going to react to, but here at the beginning, why don't you go ahead and give us your perspective on the situation with Israel?
All right. Peace.
That's an easy one. We started off with the softball.
Yes.
Do you affirm everything Israel does or not?
I think it's complex and nuanced. I think it's a nuanced discussion. I don't think it's this hyper simplistic thing that we're seeing in the media. I actually have been there. I was there. I went to Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. I went in May, so right during, there was a ceasefire then before 10/7 occurred. So I was there, and I actually met IDF folks, and so I have a pretty kind of in-depth. I met Arab Palestinians, Palestinian citizens of Israel. So I've met all like the different folks there, and so I've had a really powerful experience going over there. So my experience is, it's actually interesting because I'm near the University of Penn, where the incidents were. We had an encampment here. And there's a whole movement for BDS. I'm sure you all know about the boycott, divestment, sanction. I don't think that is the best way for solutions in this situation. I think if folks want a solution, then there has to be negotiations with Israel. If people want a two-state solution, which has been brought up, then there has to be a path towards that. It can't just be, magically you're going to get a two-state solution and magically you're going to get a ceasefire. You have to go on a route to creating that. And I think I did a program at Arcadia, which is right near where BB is from, Cheltenham, in peace and conflict resolution. So I studied counterterrorism, and I've studied kind of how you do multi-track diplomacy. And multi-track diplomacy is complex, it's nuanced, it's difficult, and it's not just this cut easy situation. So that's just kind of at least the icing on the cake, I would say.
Malik here has the question of all questions. Are you a Zionist or not?
So let's define what a Zionist means. Does a Zionist mean that the self-determination of the state of Israel?
Smart, by the way. Smart. That is an ongoing issue that we face pretty much every live stream. Is not nearly as much as it's an issue for Jordan Peterson defining every little word and so on. But a lot of these big words that people are using. Step one is tell me what you mean by that first. But yeah, go ahead.
So if we mean it, if it's the self-determination of the state for Jews, why would I be against that? If someone believes in a two-state solution, for example, then you would have to take that position because you would believe that there should be an Israel state and a Palestinian state. So you would have to believe that Jews have a right to self-determine, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The problem is a lot of people apparently don't think that, and
I think if we are allowed to have Pakistan, if Pakistan is a Muslim state for South Asians that got to self-determine from Hindus of India, then by definition, Israel has a right to exist as well. It doesn't make sense that Pakistan has a right to exist and Israel doesn't.
hey, AP, I saw you about to freak out. He's bringing this weird thing in called consistency. Isn't that weird?
I just have a big problem with the whole analogy here because I don't know if I'm supposed to say it or how I should say it, but
Issa can take it, man. Issa,
Pakistan is very different from Israel. I would argue that Israel has a right to exist. I'm not sure if I can say the same thing about Pakistan. I'm kidding.
Oh, you hear this? AP wants to wipe out an entire nation.
No,
is that the German
no.
or the Turk in you, AP?
Both, but of course you could say that they have a right to exist. There is a historical aspect of it, the population growing, developing a certain culture, whether it is because of religious standards or of ethnic cultural differences that distinguishes them from India. So they form their own nation and declare it in the end and have the right to have that. Sure, that's totally fine. I would just say that there is a difference here at play, which is that with Pakistan, the creation of Pakistan is for these specific people who distinguished themselves and developed in that region, who were majority Muslim and who said, we just want to have our own place. We don't want to be part of this India. It was a new state, a new country, a new idea that was created for them. With Israel, it is quite different. With Israel, it's not something that is invented or brought into existence because that's just how things happened. It is a state that is considered a recreation, re-established. Because of the Jewish population that was always there, that always lived there, and also for the Jewish populations from around the world that were considered a diaspora and that eventually moved back into this region in order to live there in peace. And which they acquired, by the way, under the British mandate in totally fair ways, and which they deserved and which they deserve to have. If they didn't have their own state, they would still face lots of persecution. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of just have a little bit of a problem with the comparison. That's it. Don't mind me. Just ignore me.
I hear your point, and I validate that differentiation. The point that I was making is that I was saying it's this idea of establishing, you could say, a quote unquote religio ethno state for a certain group of people. That's really the only kind of comparison that I was making. But I get that's a fair, nuanced approach to say that Pakistan is kind of a newer situation.
Yeah,
and I would say that you definitely have a lot of ethnic groups that crossover, like Punjabi people are in northern India as well as Pakistan. So
yeah. See, David, you don't have to object to anything that includes Pakistan.
No, I wasn't, and that's sort of a base level consistency. Is if you're denying Israel like a basic right to exist or something like that, and whatever you want to say, because it was these other nations, they divided up the line and this and that happened. You have to be consistent and apply that same reasoning to other places and so on. So yeah, Issa. Who has a
What's up?
more Sufi background, you or AP?
I want to ask you, do you come from like a Naqshbandi background, Helvetic, Iraqi? Like, what was your?
Naqshbandi with a little bit of Qadiri elements
You
included.
guys are just making up words now. Come on.
It's it's a little bit of a syncretic, but it's major. It's mostly Naqshbandi. These are terms that are not very much known outside of Sufism, even within the Muslim community, actually, except for those who study them. But there are different branches of Sufism that are based on different scholars throughout the Sufi history and their traditions and how they established things. Two major branches of Sufism are Naqshbandi and Qadiri, and then there are many others that follow. And Naqshbandi is very common, and they have. I don't know if you want to further go into that, Isa.
Yeah.
It's interesting, yeah, because I know President Erdogan he's a Naqshbandi himself. It's funny. A lot of Turkey is predominantly Sufi. Funny enough.
Yeah, yeah. The Ottoman Empire was Sufi as well. I mean,
Yeah,
the Ottoman
that's true.
sultans were Sufi. They weren't traditionalists. They weren't.
That's why they
They
got
weren't.
conquered.
They weren't what is nowadays. They weren't Hanbalis, which developed into the Salafi Wahhabi
If
branch.
they'd been
and all that.
Hanbalis, if they'd been Hanbalis, they would still have their caliphate.
I doubt that. They would
Instead, they
have
were-
probably been much bloodier had they been Hanbalis, honestly.
Instead, they were all little Sufis. I was
Yeah.
about to say weaklings, but
Yeah,
I don't wanna offend
what's
any-
interesting is when you're in like the Sufi circuits, you kind of know about the other people. Like, my folks know Sheikh Hisham and Sheikh Nazim. We're kind of we have connections with these kind of
The
sheikhs
one
who are
from
big.
Cyprus?
Yeah, the Naqshbandi Shuyukh.
Yeah.
And I know Qadariya Sheikh too, because I've come from that kind of space too. So, and my ancestors from Rifai, who's a cousin of Abdul Qadir Jilani. So,
I always found them a
Yeah.
little bit crazy. They have these practices, don't they, where they stab themselves like in the faces and things like that.
the original Sheikh, Sheikh Ahmed Kabir Rifai didn't actually do that, but like the disciples took that on, and that's a unique thing that you see in Tasawwuf, that you have many different iterations. You have some folks who do interesting things. Let's put it that way.
If you ask the Salafis, these are all just all the Muhammad hijab type people. They consider all of this an innovation and a deviance and a corruption of the faith, and they want to get rid of it all. So, yeah, good stuff.
So, what do you guys think about the term goofy Sufi that keeps popping up?
I said that, didn't I?
I love it. I love it.
I think I said it first, and then it just took off here.
Which Sufi group would be the goofier Sufi group? Like is there a spectrum of I know there's a spectrum of goofiness, but
If you have like Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, he's a Shadali, so they're very like orthodox. They're very scholarly. They're very orthodox. They're very much aligned with that. And then you actually have some Sufis like who don't actually really practice Islam at all. Like Pir Vilayat Khan. That movement. It's the Sufi movement of the West. So they have Sufi. They do zikr. They do Sufi traditions, but they're not practicing what you would consider like traditional Islamic things.
Yeah, I have to say, much of Sufism is so the traditionalists have a point. Much of Sufism is stuff that is just very much addition to the original Islamic beliefs, writings, traditions that developed over time, inventions, innovations, things that are just up to interpretation. Like, for example, I don't know, there was this thing like lots of these Sufis will do these different ways of doing what's called dhikr, which is to repeatedly say Allah, for example, or different things when they come together in congregation. And then it is sometimes asked, why are you guys doing this? We can't find any such practice in the in the Sunnah. And then there are some Sufis some Sufi scholars that actually say that there is, and then they point at these very ambiguous little narrations of how after a certain event, Ali or somebody else was so happy that he started jumping up and down and saying Allah, 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 things like that. It is a little bit of an interestingly weird movement. No offense, Isa.
None taken. I completely see that. But I think we can say religions in general are going to be viewed as strange to other people, and it's an
Not
interesting thing.
mine.
Like, but like, it's funny, like the debate between Christians and Muslims, like Muslims are like, this Trinity is so weird. And I'm like, yeah, but the stuff that Muslims believe in is really weird too. Like to a Christian's like, what are you talking about? Jesus wasn't crucified? You're crazy, So
That's
like,
true.
it's like you're dealing with supernatural spiritual thinking. It's like, it's so weird when people are like, I'm going to try to logically reason it. I'm like, okay, good luck with that.
See, as soon as we criticize his religion, he starts attacking all religions and saying all religions are bad.
You see that? Typical Sufis.
Oh boy, that's so funny.
So Christ Kingdom here says, David and AP, I saw a video of Sneeko getting his grill rearranged. Oh yeah, so yesterday the plan was to have a discussion, have Isa on here with us, have a discussion about Israel, because more things are happening. Looks like things are, as of yesterday when I saw it, I don't know what's been going on today, but looks like things were ramping up with Hezbollah. And we pointed out before, guys, you're dealing with a completely different kind of army there compared to Hamas. This is, they are a much better trained, much better equipped. They're more of an actual army. So that's a concern. Anyway, then Isa said he'd be happy to discuss that. So I originally titled it something along those lines, but just getting so many messages about Sneeko and everything else going on that I figured we had to react to some stuff.
Hezbollah is indeed, and Hamas are little obnoxious terrorists.
Little
They're,
weaklings.
they're a joke. They fully rely on simply stirring up the masses and trying to drag others into this conflict. They openly even say it. I mean, they urge Muslim nations to join and to come in and to fight Israel because they on their own they are nothing. Hezbollah is not like that. Hezbollah has actual serious training. They have the full backing of Iran. They are actually in charge of significant parts of government and everything in Lebanon. The last war, 2006, the Lebanon War, was a heavy one, and is actually one that is considered inconclusive as the result. So both sides claim that they won, but it's not clear. It's not easy to point out who actually walked away from it with a victory. So that they can be a serious problem. And right now they keep agitating. Even today, there is a new announcement from Nasrallah, the leader. But yesterday they published a video where they published some drone footage of the Haifa port in Israel, thereby implying, because Iran wants to do it, this is a big problem. It's not a joke. Not a joke.
And that's jury's still out in my mind on what is going through people's minds in Iran as far as the leaders are concerned. It's like they're attacking in every direction. And I'm trying to figure out what the thinking is there. And so on the one hand, I think it's like this apocalyptic thing. Like they're like, hey, let's we just can't keep going the way we're going. It's not going to work out. More and more people are rebelling against us and so on. So this isn't going to work. So we have to do something right now. And it's almost like, hey, if we just attack in every direction, then the Mahdi's going to have to come. He's going to have to come and fix all this because we're going to set it off. We're going to set off the fight with the entire world, and the Mahdi is going to have to rescue us. So thinking, like, is that what's going through their mind? And on the other hand, I think, since the Iranian leaders are constantly just currying favor with the most radical elements of Shia Islam, then maybe they've just been doing it for so long that these guys just want them to go out and start fighting. And like, do they actually think they could win? Are they going to think that if they go out and fight that they're going to win? So anyway, I can't figure it out because it's like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense to just, hey, we're going to tick off everyone in the entire world. We're going to start fights with people who are massively more powerful than us. We're going to annoy everyone. Absolutely. I mean, it's funny. It's similar to like the Dawa guys, right? Like some of the recent Dawa guys who became very popular. It's like, hey, we've got our loyal fan base. Now let's tick off everyone else on the planet by running around defending child marriage and saying we're going to chop the heads off the apostates everywhere and so on. We're going to keep doing that to upset everyone in the world. And you wonder what is your plan here? What is your plan? Do you guys have any idea? Like, do you think Iran do they just think they can win, or are they
No.
do they know they're going to lose, but they're actually trying to bring about the end times, or is it some other goal?
Isa, what do you think?
Thank you. Teşekkür ederim. I think it's so. I think the government of Iran is in trouble. They're trying to be an Islamic government. They're making the most atheists and people leaving Islam as possible. That's what they're doing. People hate Islam because of what they're doing in the government. So I'm like, if their goal is to be an Islamic government, they're failing pretty
Doing a
badly.
crap job.
They are, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to get the Shah. Like, the Shah looks like a godsend in comparison. People complain so much about the Shah, but like, people want the Shah in Iran. They want that secular kind of government where people can privately practice their faith. They don't want people imposing. Nobody wants that. We don't want that in America. We don't want that really in any country where people impose their religion on you. People want freedom. Most normal people do. People who are completely under like a 1984 dictatorship can't even express what they want because they'll be attacked and killed and policed. So I think Iran is in trouble. I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a civil war there. And it's possible that this government could be overthrown. That's kind of what my thoughts on it.
The thing is, so there is this theory in geopolitics that especially totalitarian countries and countries that deal with many internal problems and can't get their stuff together, can't deliver their promises, they will create a boogeyman. In German, the word is Feindbild, which means an enemy image. So they will create a boogeyman in order to distract from whatever is going on internally, and to try to, by pointing at an enemy, at an external enemy, try to rile up and unify the population that is otherwise discouraged and totally unhappy, and to, through war, through animosity, try and survive, try and exploit the population, their own population, and the enemy as well. It's very plausible that this is what's happening with Iran. Iran was built with this idea that it will become this new, free, wonderful state. It will flourish. It will be amazing. Everybody will be happy. There will be democracy. Soon, the Iranian government, the Iranian revolution, as it is called still today, will figure things out and will create a prosperous nation that others will envy to no end, and all that. All of these promises have failed. They have all failed. It's nonsense. It's garbage. You see images coming out of Iran today. It's like people drive extremely old vehicles. It doesn't look very nice. People are extremely unhappy. When you walk through the streets, there are videos online which you can see nowadays. When you walk through the streets, people all say, we love this country, but we wish we were somewhere else right now. People no longer vote. The vast majority of the nation doesn't even vote anymore because they don't bother, because they think, what's even the point? I mean, why would we even vote for these options that are legal, and then the rest, once we vote, it is going to be corrupt and rigged, and nothing that we want is going to happen anyway. So economy is bad, society is bad, everything is bad. What Iran does is to say that they are simply a transitional human government that is there to provisionally rule and make sure that they honor Allah's wishes and prepare the society for the coming Mahdi. And it's not surprising, because this was a Shia idea um, throughout Shia history. Whenever they were oppressed, they would go to this idea. Well, if we just make it, if we're just good, then the Mahdi will come and he will set things straight. And Iran has this whole same sentiment. They think, okay, well, we're going to do whatever we can. We're going to make Allah happy, and we're going to make the Mahdi happy, and then the Mahdi will come and he will take over from there. And any moment like this one, when things are really heated, when the tension is high, they combine these attitudes of going for the enemy to point fingers and to say, okay, things look really bad for us right now, but don't worry, the Mahdi will come. So they will go for the chaos, even if it seems on the surface as if they were they were really at a disadvantage. Even if it looks like they're definitely going to lose a major war, they think it is the right thing to do, because what's the alternative? The alternative is just suffering, more suffering and more hopelessness and emptiness. That's what they are doing. It doesn't even matter to them whether logically seen it looks like they will be defeated. They're probably aware of that, but they think they're supposed to do this. They think they are meant to do this. They think only good can come from this, because we are terrible on our own as it is anyway.
So is this kind of parallel to, like ISIS? Didn't involve the thinking about the Mahdi, but the idea was that the reason Allah's not blessing them to have a caliphate and to conquer the world and so on is that they just haven't been devout enough. They haven't cleansed the community of hypocrisy and innovation and so on. And that's why Allah wasn't blessing them. And therefore, you just have to be very extreme. And that's the reason the leader gave himself the war name Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. He's the new Abu Bakr. He's the new Abu Bakr. What did Abu Bakr do? He fought the apostate wars. He cleansed the community. Then you had this period of rapid expansion of Islam. So the mentality is, that's what worked back then. We took care of we cleansed our own community first, and then Allah blessed it to rapidly expand. So why don't we have a caliphate anymore? We've just been disobedient. So if we just crack down and we do what the original Abu Bakr did, we cleanse the community, Allah's going to bless us to get our caliphate back and really rapidly expand. Unfortunately, it didn't work out like that. But I guess similar reasoning in that case, it's Allah will bless us if we cleanse our community, and the Shia alternative is if we start fighting in enough directions, the Mahdi's going to come back and bless us, or he won't. But at least we tried.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. A little bit different, but kind of like that, because ISIS didn't even have anything. They just thought, okay, society is really bad. We seem to be in those times, as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that Muslims will be in a terrible situation, a terrible state. It is now upon us to rise up and to unite and to bring about, the unity once again, and then the end times will come, because the signs are all there. That's what they were thinking. It's a similar way of thinking, just a little bit different in practice.
Hey guys, have you seen the news about the Hajj pilgrims dying?
What?
Have you seen that? I saw yesterday and the day before, but it was like 14. It was like 14. Now I'm looking right now.
What?
More than 550 Hajj pilgrims die in Mecca because of the temperature. And then France 24 says the death toll is over 900.
What in the what?
Yeah. Hey, and jerks in the chat before you start cheering. Come on, don't be scumbags. Talking about people who are taking a pilgrimage. Yes, we disagree with them and stuff. People. Yeah, and it's kind of a weird situation, because you want to say, guys, be smarter. Don't go out if it's that hot. Just stay in the hotel or wherever you're staying, go out at night. I don't know. But really, I mean, gosh, it seems like there should be some adjusting based on the calendar. You can't have whatever it is, 1.8 million people showing up to this big event, and it's 110 degrees outside.
Well, in the past, whenever there were instances of many people dying in the Hajj, it was often from stampedes and
Remember
people throwing.
a crane tipped over at some point, or
Yeah, but from the heat, I don't think they don't have proper consistent numbers here. I see CBS News say 500 to 600 people died, and so on. I don't know. That's pretty messed up.
I mean, it's still hot there for many, many days to come. Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
If you know any guys, I just wanted to say to anyone who's watching, Muslims who are watching, we know we don't get along all the time. We have had our differences in the past, but if you know some people who are on the pilgrimage right now, send them a message. Say, hey, stay inside as much as possible. Drink as much water as possible. Look for places where you can stay cool, because that's crazy, man. That's crazy stuff.
I think there definitely needs to be more safeguards there for all those kinds of things. Like even, all those pilgrimage things, like people making, the circumambulance around the Kaaba and going to the Black Stone. Like it's dangerous. There's a lot of dangerous things there that probably should be regulated better to protect the people, on this journey. And you're right about the heat. Like maybe, how much money is coming into Saudi Arabia from pilgrimages? Wouldn't you think, like Israel can afford to pay for an Iron Dome, right? So all these, taking all the pilgrims' money, you could probably create some type of system that would, cool the pilgrims off, right?
Yeah, and when you're dealing with that many people, I don't know. It's a weird situation, because if it's that hot, I mean, you'd have to like encase the entire thing in an actual dome to keep it cool and keep the AC on or something like that. But I don't know. It seems like there has to be a place for inserting some common sense into this situation of, guys, it's going to be really hot, so why don't we have this thing? Why don't we revise our Hajj schedule?
You know what's messed up? I was just putting myself in the position of a religious Muslim as I was back in the day. And I was thinking, what would I think and what would I do if I was on the Hajj?
Mm-hmm.
And there was this heat that was knocking people out and actually killing them. I see now 550 people recorded at the morgue. And the messed up thing is, I kind of feel like the way I would feel like I'm here to do this Hajj duty once, and it involves things that will necessarily require me to go out there and to walk distances out in the heat during the day. And this is a test, and Allah wants me to go all in and do that. I feel like that's how I would feel.
Like
And
even with the deaths and so on, you could think like that. Even
Yeah,
with the deaths,
yes.
it's
And
these deaths,
would
and it's
think
a challenge.
I would think if I die, then I'm just a martyr. That's it. And inshallah, I would think.
Yeah, that's the
I
other
think
component.
that's a valid
If you were going to die,
argument,
yeah, like if you're reasoning in this way, it's also, hey, if I'm going to die one day, why not die during during a
And I
religious
go to
pilgrimage?
paradise. I go to paradise because all my
it would be an
sins
honor.
are, yeah.
Wild stuff. But yeah, that's not over. Again, AP, you saw the numbers like 550 and so on. That was the number as of yesterday. So WION posted 21 hours ago that it's 550. Probably hard to get the exact numbers right, but yeah, 9 hours ago, France 24 said over 900. So that is a lot. That's, wrong year, guys. Pick a different year. Dang it.
Lots of people put a lot of money into this trip, save up for it, and then go. It's like there's only one chance.
Yeah.
One shot. So.
But I agree with Issa. I mean, you're getting all this money into this place. You can't keep people cool. I mean, you're getting thousands of dollars for every person who shows up, and you live on an ocean of oil, and you have one city. You have one city that you need to keep cool. Really cool during this time.
What's the temperature?
It's been like 110, and it's staying that way. Look at the forecast; it's just staying 110, 111, 112 for like the next 10 days.
Excessive heat alert 110. Okay, wow. Oof. That's messed up.
Wow.
Yep. Greed is a powerful thing.
Wow. All right, guys. Let's take a few super chats, and then we're going to...
For those who are not ignorant Americans, that would be like around 44, 42, 43 degrees.
What are you talking about?
Celsius.
Everyone knows what 110 degree is. Celsius. No one uses Celsius anymore. Come on. All right, guys. So we're going to we'll take some super chats, and then we're going to... It can't be avoided. We have to watch the footage of Sneeko getting his face punched in. Because it's actually very important in that Sneeko paid attention to how people are reacting, specifically the Groypers, how they're reacting to so on and so on. And he's starting to wonder if maybe they're actually just using him. Sneeko, the guy who's being used by white supremacists and by Dawa clowns, is starting to wonder if people are using him. Interesting. So we're going to check out the footage of the Sneeko getting punched in the face and of Sneeko reacting to his buddy Nick commenting on it. Then we got a couple other topics we'll react to. Hey guys. Hey Monkey. Mike.
Oh, hold on. Even to Europeans, it says at the peak it reached 51 degrees Celsius in Saudi Arabia. That's
no one knows what Celsius is, dude.
That's 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, yeah. Okay, I see. Anyway, continue.
No, that's bad, guys. Get out of there. Go.
That's really messed up. You don't want to. You're not supposed to live in such a heat.
And I haven't even looked at the numbers. But if that's the number that are dying, if it's in the hundreds of people who are dying, you're dealing with lots of people who aren't dying, but they're having strokes and things like that. They're having heat stroke or heat exhaustion and so on. So, yeah, guys. Go back to the hotel. Hey, can Issa give a Sufi mystical explanation for why AP wasn't, in fact, late today, despite our lying leather straps making it seem so?
That's cute. That's cute.
They're completely serious here.
Oh, really?
No, I'm just kidding. Hey, here we go. AP, me no like goofy Sufi, me angry, arg, arg, arg. That's about right.
Yeah, that's how I sound. Yeah.
D Woods AI. Chat is discussing AP's guest. The guest appears to be... Oh, D Woods AI. Chat is discussing AP's guest. Oh, hey, is this one of those things where you get the descriptions of the chat?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's funny.
Chat is discussing AP's guest. The guest appears to be Muslim, which is confusing since AP himself has been accused of being fake. Issa appears to be some sort of nemesis to AP. Is it true?
This is Sheikh Mike Wingjalinj making up his own AI explanation here. That's funny.
Or it's what it actually said. Hey, what is this?
No.
Is this your language?
That's
That's not your language. Your language has all sorts of weird stuff on it.
That's some Scandinavian thing here.
So
Swedish?
it's something like that.
Yeah. What language is that?
Something weird. The fact that terrorists child books and to make Zionism as a bad word, if Palestinians...
Wait. Go back.
Don't tell me what to do on my show. Don't tell me what to do.
Go back.
Okay, there you go.
Aha, how do you not get this?
What?
Father, earth, heaven. This is Old English.
Oh!
This is the Lord's Prayer in Old English.
Earth and heaven. Okay. Wow, that's really old because you can kind of make out.
Yeah.
Bearden.
Nice.
Okay.
Based. Okay.
The fact that terrorist child, if Palestinians fight for the right to return, they are Zionists. Oh, yeah, right to return. People forget Islam had a reformation. It made Salafis and Wahhabis like the Reformation made Anabaptists. Reformations equal chaos.
Alhamdulillah.
I made another account. This is Solaria. I made another account linked to the same email, but now YouTube is being stupid and not letting me be Solaria Wheels and Qua in your live stream. You got to switch accounts.
Yeah.
If you have multiple accounts, you can switch your accounts over in the thing. Big dubs in the chat. What is this Issa guy's opinion on Mike Winger? Does he share the Groiper Top G Chad David Wood opinion of him? Groiper.
Oh, yeah. This is important. Yeah.
What do you think of Mike Winger?
I think I've seen a couple of his videos. He has like a guitar behind him and stuff. He's like
total nerd stuff. Like, oh, look at me, I've got a guitar back here. that made me sound
he's
cool.
He's pretty well spoken. I've seen him. He's a pretty well spoken apologist. But
don't compliment him on this show.
Oh, don't compliment him. No. Okay.
Those are fighting words, man.
Just for future reference, whenever it comes up and we say, "Hey, what's your opinion of Mike Winger?" You're supposed to be, nerd. That's all.
You know what's funny?
What?
Before we went live, I told you that that there is once again this whole discussion going on about Jesus was a Jew, and then the neo-Nazis say no. Apparently that happened. So Mike Winger made a tweet explaining Jesus was Jewish, and then further explaining this, and then the neo-Nazis started going all crazy on him, and he was not a Jew, and then he doubled down, and he's like, this is a serious issue. I mean, if you guys really respond like this and actually get more likes than that very tweet which says that Jesus was a Jew, then this is just misinformation and just and terrible. And I don't know. He started this whole discussion again.
Oh well, he ruined it. That's what he does.
I had a question. What
up?
did you think about that debate that you had with Imam Kenny Boner, where you debated?
Did you hear what you just said? Was that a Freudian slip or delivery?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay, good.
Imam Kenny Bone.
Dude, get your mind out of the. You see what these Sufis are like, everyone? You see where their minds really are? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Anyway, what I really meant is Imam Kenny Boner.
You're funny. But you had this debate with him about, is Jesus a Muslim? And it was the most bizarre debate that I've seen. I actually had talked to him. We had a conversation about Israel, Palestine, and I took more of a nuanced approach, and he was just like, yeah, Palestine's pretty much right. And I was like, okay. I mean, that was pretty much our conversation. Mm-hmm. But he was going into the debate with you about that, and I was like, please don't do it. Don't go into that debate. And it just was really kind of sad, because I'm like, what are you defining as a Muslim? Mm-hmm. Are you saying a Muslim is a believer? If you're saying that, then you're a Muslim then. Like, what's everybody, like you could just say everybody's a Muslim, you're a believer in some way or another. So it's like this weird thing. Or are you saying a Muslim is a person who prays 5 times a day and does these certain kind of rules, and that makes them a Muslim? Or is a Muslim who believes in God and the Quran? Then a Baha'i and a Druze is a Muslim. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, really, what's a Muslim? It's like, it was kind of bizarre. And I was just, what did you think about that? Like, his kind of argument for, saying Jesus is a Muslim.
Well, I thought his argument was terrible, but I think the general argument is terrible. And along the lines of what you're pointing out, Matt Dillahunty during the Q&A actually brought it. He's like, so I think it was like, well, so would David be a Muslim according to this? But yeah, it's this weird situation of, it's not just him. It's pretty standard in the Dawa community to, they'll put signs up at their Dawa booths. Jesus was a Muslim, ask us why, and so on. They'll put these signs up. And then all they do is say Muslim just means a person who submits to God. And so here you have Jesus submitting. And so therefore he's a Muslim, when, guys, there's more packed into the definition than just one who submits in any way whatsoever. There's more to that. You have to submit in a particular way. And you don't find Jesus doing that in the Gospels. And so the question is whether you want to go with this. Well, technically the word means, and I don't remember if I pointed it out there or somewhere else, that the word Hindu used to just mean someone from India.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so I can say Zakir Naik is a Hindu. Or if you're a Muslim, you believe Muhammad was enlightened. Well, Buddha means the enlightened one. And so a Buddhist
I'm not a Hindu.
Buddhist is a follower,
medical doctor.
an adherent of that. And so Muhammad was the Buddha. And so his followers are Buddhists and so on. It's like, do you really want to go this route? Because it's just messy. But if the only thing you can do to defend your position is to go with, some original meaning criterion or something like that, then I don't know. It kind of tells me something about your position being pretty weak.
Well, I mean, you could go down very, very, very dumb paths if you argue from that whole point of, Muslim just means one who submits, so anyone who submits is therefore a Muslim. Well, it's also a term used in sexual activities, submission, one who submits.
Yeah.
So do you really want to do this? Do you really want to play this game?
Yeah. Because I'm sure Mohammed Hijab has some crazy channels that he visits on some various websites and so on. He's like, look, this person is submitting to the golden showers, you see. This is yeah, weird stuff. Sheikh Mike Zwingling. All of this is innovation and deviancy, worse than the new generation. Oh, Star Trek. And even worse, it's the religion of the Turks. May Allah's curse be upon it.
Yes.
Pretty harsh language from the Sheikh. He's a hybrid. He doesn't run on gas. Because I called you a hybrid earlier. My father spit at Sufis that showed up on TV. Surely, Isa, I also had a dream I'd be a mod. If it's Allah's will it happen? All ham to Allah. So, yeah. Lily's an apostate, so her father would spit on Sufis. You familiar with that?
Well, the problem is what these people do is that they're the pot calling the kettle black, and they're throwing stones from glass houses, because pretty much all their ancient scholars were Sufi. Like, even the ancient scholars, there are a certain variant of Sufi. They weren't Salafi. Salafi is a new position. It's a new positionality. It's a new reformation. And what it's trying to claim is that, hey, we're really ancient, but they're not really ancient. They're new. And they are trying to, say, well, we're the bosses of the situation now. And because they implement violence, if you go and you fight and you hit people and attack people who are peaceful are like, whoa, what's going on? The violent people, it's unfortunate. It's a very unfortunate situation. So they said, we're going to be nasty, violent. And I've seen them, like, people will curse. And I'm like, what kind of Muslim is this? Like, according to your own standard, like, don't you believe you're not supposed to curse? You're supposed to have good character. You're supposed to have good manners. And it's shocking because, like, I've seen it, like, even in the chat, like, how people treat you. Like, I saw you go to Muslim stalls, David, like, in your videos, and they're nasty to you. And I'm like, what kind of Muslim, according to your standard, why are you behaving this way? It's like,
yeah, people are always mean to me.
They would never do that.
It's just crazy. It's like,
why is everyone mean to me?
I have no idea, and I don't
have
understand
no idea,
why
because
people.
I mean, I have an idea.
But I think this is my opinion, like, on these things like Charlie Hebdo and Satanic Verses. If you disagree, write an op-ed. Be a civilized human in the 21st century. Don't act like a uncivilized
Don't chop off
barbarian.
a head. Write an op-ed. That could be a new motto.
There we go. Yeah. Write an op-ed and just say, hey.
Don't make someone dead. Write an op-ed.
Ed.
What?
But then nobody dies. What's the point of writing something?
He's got a point.
But I mean, like, it's so ridiculous. I'm like, when you do that type of thing, what then makes your life have value? If you go and attack and you're the judge, jury, and executioner, then that gives people to have the right to be the judge, jury, and executioner against you. You open that door when you break the civil contract that we have in society, and you violate that, then you no longer have those rights in society. So people could just say, everybody's a kafir to someone else. That's what it is. It's so ridiculous.
You keep using consistency. That's
we don't
completely serious. I mean, the Dawa guys, they have zero concept of consistency. It's here's how we treat everyone else, but no one had better treat us like that. And you come in here and you're like, well, if, golden rule type stuff. There's no real golden rule for dawah.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It is a problem.
That's when we talk about the Dawagandis. Imam Bomer got really mad at me. He emailed me and he's like, "I hate you now. You're an evil person." He really was nasty to me. He sent me a horrible.
Careful,
email.
he'll threaten to lash you with his belt like he did to that guy in that deli or whatever. Remember that?
Yeah, it was an African American person.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it.
I'll pull my belt off and lash you. It's like, what?
Because his whole goal was to show how he's really very honorable to the African American community. He had African American guards, bodyguards, and he was like, I'm very pro-black, and I was in a black hip-hop band, and I came in through Islam, through Nation of Islam. And then he said that thing. I was like, brother, I get that you want the fried chicken, but maybe you should just go somewhere else, my man. It might be a better
what is this wrong with this dude, man? Weird stuff. Weird stuff. And then the follow-up, sorry, not surely. Sorry again, Issa. You're good. No spitting on Issa just because he's Sufi. Did y'all see Sneeko mocking Ali Dawa with a girl and whiteboard on a stream?
I saw a clip of him.
Is he mocking or just trying to imitate him and be cool?
I don't know. I think it was kind of a parody of it. I haven't really seen the point of it, but I think it was a parody.
Yeah, we might have to check that out at some point. All right, take a couple more super chats real quick, and we're going to check out a video. That naughty boy Mike Winger has a whole playlist of hit pieces on why not to be a Roman Catholic. That would cause people to leave Roman Catholic Church. What a person. All Mike Winger does is attack everyone else. And if you asked him, okay, is anyone a real Christian? It would be a church of one. Mike Winger. According to Mike Winger.
The Church
of Mike Winger, one member. He's the only one who qualifies as a real Christian. Why do we call terrorists extremists when, in fact, these people are the ones who are practicing the religion of Islam correctly? The mission of Islam is to conquer everything, right? Well, according to certain sources, yes. I'm guessing, Issa, you're going to be like, oh, no, if I reject those sources, I don't have to believe that stuff.
So my question would be, it's like, I think everybody's cherry picking. I think these people cherry pick too. And just being honest on consistency, they will take certain things, but like, let's say it's about being kind and understanding, because that stuff, all of this stuff exists in the source material. So they're selectively choosing what works for them in the source material. So I think everyone is doing that in this space. So I think they're not being consistent or honest about that. If they said, hey, I'm cherry picking, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Just be honest about it.
AP, you see how he has to attack all religions again?
Yeah, immediately.
It's an obsession. Isn't that messed up?
All religions are bad.
Yeah, you see? Love your discussion on one way, even paid my jizya. Jesus Christ is Lord, King and God of the universe. Yeah, that was a good discussion. We had a discussion with a Muslim over there. Chris just opened it up for discussion if any Muslim wants to explain what the Injil is according to the Quran. And we did not get a coherent definition. I'm not sure there is one. Hey, Mike, the Wingster here. Yo, David, the 80s called. They want their mullet back. This is not a mullet. And just so everyone knows, you're going to see this, not a mullet. Wreck Sunni Islam. It won't wreck Sufi Islam, but it will wreck Sunni Islam. You will see it very soon. First time I see you on live from Israel. It's 3 a.m. What are you doing up this late? All right, we got more super chats, but let's go ahead and check out a video. Issa, you know who Sneeko is? You know who Sneeko is. You watch the live streams.
I mean, I think I've heard of him. He's kind of one of these like alpha Chad figures on YouTube who is like, he's the alpha Chad man.
He's the alpha Chad man. He's the alpha Chad of getting punched in the face. And to his credit, Sneeko is really good at getting the crap beaten out of him and tolerating it. We've seen the footage of him getting beaten up, and that's something he's good at. Anyway, I'm going to play this clip, guys. I took out the audio of the punch because the whole group started yelling "F you, F you, F you," and so not.
What? That was the best part of it.
Yeah, that was the best part. You see.
That's why I wanted to watch it.
Let's check the punch, and then we're going to watch. We're going to watch Sneeko afterwards in a recent live stream, starting to realize that these guys are in fact using him for his popularity. But anyway, I just put some regular music to this. Yeah, I had that clip ready because that's the boom boom room coming up. Sorry, Issa. All right, so this is the security guard. So they're flipping him off rudely, and then he flips them off back in self-defense. Oh! I've never seen that, man. I've never... I mean, in a bar setting, to use the Superman punch. Oh, I should have done a slow motion version, guys. But what you're seeing here is he's dancing. They're flipping him off. He's flipping them off. They're yelling. The whole crowd at this point is yelling, "F you, F you, F you." Apparently, he was messing with them too, and at some point he had flipped off someone's hat or something like that. But then Sneeko knocks his head off, and he used this opportunity to do a Superman punch. Matter of fact, if I just skim it, I think I can. Let's see. And oh, so that's Sneeko. That's Sneeko's hand there, going up to knock that hat off. And then instead of just reaching out with a punch, the guy does the Superman. Look at that. Jumps in the air. That's called the Superman punch, ladies and gentlemen. But that was right to the face of Sneeko. Ah! Ah!
That was brutal, man.
Yeah. Anyway, caught Sneeko right in the mouth. I have to say, well, let's go ahead and finish this little part, because then we're going to see Jake Shields sitting around like a total punk, and he's been defending himself. Everyone's asking on Twitter, "Hey, why are you just standing there while Sneeko gets punched in the face?" And he's like, "I didn't see it. I didn't know what's going on." Yeah, that's true. Or he realizes if this guy has the confidence to be standing in front of a massive group of racists and jump right in the middle of them and Superman punch someone right in the mouth, maybe Jake Shields is like, "I am not messing with this dude. I am not messing with this dude right now."
So what is the context of this video? What is why is this person like here? What are they doing, if you don't mind me just getting the background on that?
Yeah, AP, you might have followed this as well, AP. It's not like I've gone through and verified the details and so on. What I kind of picked up from Twitter, and again, AP may know more, may have more information, but they tried to go to some meeting, some big political meeting or something like this. They got kicked out, and then they reserved this bar to have their own little meeting here. And so they go here. I think it's a bar or club or something like that. So they want to go here to have their meeting, and they reserved it, and it's all official and so on. And then the people who work there, the manager or whatever, and the security, they start hearing what these guys are saying, all this racist stuff, and they tell them, "Okay, we don't want that here. You guys got to leave." Then everyone starts flipping out, and the security guard's trying to get them out. They're refusing to leave and something like that. And then Sneeko knocks a hat off. Guy Superman punches him in the face. That's kind of the gist, but it didn't come from anyone who's like explaining it. That's what people are saying about it on Twitter. AP, do you have any of the actual?
That's pretty much it. They met that evening or that night so Nick Fuentes organized this whole America First AF pack, which is his special neo-Nazi gathering, where they want to advocate for a white Catholic America. The event was canceled by the place, by the venue, so they couldn't hold it. But after the event, they apparently booked this place where they wanted to go and hang out and celebrate and speak. And at this place, once they started talking, as you say, once the people at the venue heard what this was all about, they said, "Okay, we don't want this. We don't want this garbage here. Get out, everybody." And then they were like, "No, no, no, we will not get out. We booked this place." And the thing is, they did indeed apparently reserve this place in advance and pay down money for the whole night. So they were like, "We paid for this place. We have a reservation. We will stay here. We will not go away," which is not how it's meant to work. Even if you did reserve and even if you did pay, you are supposed to do what the owners, what the people in charge say, and get out of there, and then you can handle the rest legally, right? But
Yeah,
apparently
because
they started.
that would be
fighting.
that would be my reaction if I had a bar, whatever this is, and someone's like, "Hey, we want to reserve the bar and so we can have our meeting and stuff." I'd be like, "Fine." If you go in there and you're like, we're gonna get the Jews, we're gonna get the Jews, and we're gonna have our white nation and stuff," I'd be like, "Man, get out of here, man.
Yeah,
Get out of here.
get
Here's
out.
your refund. Here's your refund. Get out."
Yeah, so and they didn't want to accept that. They didn't want to leave. Started arguing and yelling. And their side of the story is that the security guards, they started pushing them around and attacking them and things like that. But you can't see any of that on camera. And the last people that I will trust on telling us the series of events are the neo-Nazis. Sorry, just not going to trust their side of the story. What we see here is that this guy, among others, tells them to get out. They don't listen, and then this happens. That's it.
We have Shields was known as a poor striker in MMA. Yeah, in his defense, that would be a different situation, wouldn't it? In other words, you fighting in the octagon versus taking a swing at a bouncer when there are other bouncers. If your inclination is to go for a ground game, that doesn't work nearly as well in like a brawl or barroom brawl or something like that, especially if there's more than one individual. Dragging someone to the ground isn't going to work as well. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just wasn't paying attention, but yeah, you'd have to feel pretty good rolling up into a place, and as your sidekick here, you've got one of the best MMA fighters from years ago. Besides you, got to feel good, got to feel strong, and then some guy Superman punches you right in the face, and you're like, "Why am I with this guy? Why? What's he doing? What is he doing for me?"
Well, I'll be very honest. I don't want to talk trash about an MMA fighter who has achieved a lot of things. Although the guy is a complete scumbag, and
He is a scumbag.
complete scumbag, a complete coward, idiot. Probably has brain damage from all the fighting. But as for his fighting record, I'm not gonna talk trash about that aspect. It's respectable. However, even in this situation, to be very honest, it's probably the right thing to do, not to not to respond violently, right? But at least you could just say that.
I don't know though. It's
Imagine
like
responding to this and then this breaking out into a huge fight.
yeah, it's possible, but I mean, serious. It's Sneeko, right? He's like this little guy, and you've got this big bouncer jumps up and busts him right in the face. Like, you're not going to do anything.
Yeah, maybe jump in at least try to get in between and all that. But I don't know.
Yeah, not sure. All right, well, let's go ahead and finish
got
this.
his tooth chipped.
Yeah, we got ow. That's Sneeko. Sneeko can take a punch. Say what you want about Sneeko. That boy can take a punch, man. So there's Jake. What's going on there? Wait, let's go back. Here's Jake. There's Jake Shields standing around while Sneeko gets his fronts knocked out. And so here, let's get your face. Let's see your face, Sneeko. There we go. So that's the damage from the Superman punch. Let this be a lesson to everyone. Superman punch can be effective. And guys, that's the takeaway. When something actually goes down and someone needs to take a swing and so on, there's a reason you don't want to go to a martial arts class and learn this. Okay, he grabs you here and then you do this and then you twist this behind this and then you bend over, you bend his arm back this way and stuff. like when you get hit with the adrenaline, you're going to revert to what comes most naturally to you. And it's not going to be this long sequence of moves unless you've just done it so many times that it has become second nature. But anyway, the point there is, if someone is comfortable enough to be facing a giant bar full of racists and jump right into the middle with a Superman punch and pull it off perfectly, that's probably a guy. If that's what comes natural to him in that situation, he's probably not someone you want to knock his hat off. You know what I mean? But here's Sneako. The boy can take a punch. The kid can take a punch. I give credit where credit is due. No one gets beat up like Sneako and takes it like such a boss. He takes it like a boss. Although his eyes do look a bit teary, I have to say.
What is he saying here? Why are you playing the audio here?
What?
What is
I
he
don't know.
saying?
I just cut out the audio because I turned it on and it was like,
F you. For the whole video, you cut it out?
Well, I wasn't paying attention. I just stuck it in there, man. I just cut the audio. Think I wanted to go through every second? Sneako. Anyway, so that was Sneako rolling with the Groypers or whatever. But here, what's up? Rolling. Here is a recent stream of Sneako reacting to Nick's video discussing it, where Nick thinks that Sneako getting punched in the face is the most hilarious thing ever. Now, he's right. This is funny. But Sneako's taking it a bit hard. Let's check this out.
Nick Fuentes talks about Sneako getting punched by a security guard.
I feel so bad for Sneako. He was the casualty getting punched. But the video is so funny. Sneako, I think he
That was funny? What was funny about that?
knocked his hat.
Okay, Sneako. Sneako, if you don't understand you knocking someone's hat off, and if you don't understand a bunch of racists, and then you knock a dude's hat off and he Superman punched, he didn't just punch you in the face, he Superman punched you. If you don't understand why that's funny, agree to disagree.
I'm curious, but isn't Sneako like multiracial? Like it seems like a weird.
That's what he's about to get to.
This place?
That's kind of an ongoing, because they all agree that they hate Jews. That's what we're concerned about. Me and AP were just talking about this because people ask us, wait a minute, you're David, you're a Christian, AP, you're no longer an atheist and agnostic and stuff. How do you guys work together and so on? Isn't this weird? And no, we agree on a lot of things, and we're both on the receiving end of death threats from a lot of Dawa guys who admit that if they get their way, they're going to execute us and so on. So, and apart from that, we're friends and so on. So anyway, that's one situation. But here you have people who want to separate. The goal is eventually to completely separate from this people, or in some cases to wipe this other group out and so on. But they'll unite and say, well, we can't stand Jews, so let's all be on the same page here. And that's what's weird. I mean, the Groypers, they want a white Catholic nation. Sneako would not be welcome in there. But they agree on Jews, and so but it's like, what, Sneako, you're not even going to be here. If they get their, now keep in mind, they're not going to get their way. They're a bunch of idiots. But the idea is, Sneako, you're dealing with a group that ultimately does not want you anywhere around them. And they'll align with you now to help them go after Jews. It's convenient. But that's what he's going to be realizing right here.
But isn't Sneako a Muslim too? Or did he?
He's about to point all that out. He's about to point all that out. Like, how am I, what do they see me as? He's, I think part black, I think part Asian, and a Muslim. And so he's realizing, wait a minute, there's no scenario where these guys will, in the end, be okay with me. There's no scenario.
here's the thing that people need to know about Nick Fuentes and the others here. Um, Nick Fuentes is a neo-Nazi. He is a Groyper. He believes in white nationalism and separatism.
It's Groper.
In his
Groper.
worldview, he doesn't want race mixing to be allowed. He wants countries to be separated by race. He wants certain minorities, especially the Jews, to be deported or otherwise possibly killed or locked up or put in camps and things like that. Um, and uh, he generally believes that black people are a bunch of criminals and that they were unleashed upon white nations by the Jews in order to destroy the white nations. People who agree with him and his fan base generally describe African Americans as monkeys, as criminals, as thieves, and whatever it is. Describe other minorities as all kinds of horrible things. Here's the issue. He also, however, sides with people like Sneeko, whom he takes on his camp, or attaches himself to Kanye when he gets a little bit manic, or starts fanboying Candace Owens when Candace says something bad about Jews. And he's only doing this to use them as useful idiots. And Nazis in general, these white nationalists in general, use these people as useful idiots. In fact, there were some leaked messages which are confirmed to be completely authentic between Nick Fuentes and Milo from years ago, where at that time Nick was hanging out with Laura Loomer, who is Jewish, and some black gay guy. And he describes in the messages those two friends of him that he works with together all the time as his token minorities, that are quite helpful. So this is how he refers to these people. This is actually how he sees them. He says it right there in those messages. If you are now a mixed black Latin American person, or whatever mix Nico is, or anything else, and you are actually true to yourself, and you have a little bit of integrity and self-respect, you should immediately condemn and reject and distance yourself from somebody like Nick Fuentes, who is quite open in using you. However, he's surrounding himself with these idiots, which is why they are called useful idiots.
It is. I don't know. It's nuts. Again, I don't know. I think like even if I'm having a discussion with a Muslim or something like that, if the topic is the existence of God or a creator or something like that, hey, I have no problem if I agree with someone on something. Hey, we agree. We agree. There are lots of things. You can point to any group in the world. I agree with them on certain things, and I disagree with them on certain things, and so on. As far as like uniting and rallying around a cause, uniting with people who ultimately want to expel you from their society or wipe you out or something like that because you hate this, you hate these Jews or something like that. It's really, really weird situation. But
Incredibly stupid.
Sneeko here starts picking up on it a little bit. He'll forget
I
it.
want to say one thing too that I'm really impressed with you gentlemen on is that you call out anti-Semitism, and you need to. Anti-Semitism is on the rise. It's a horrible, awful thing. My family were refugees from Eastern Europe, Russia, Ukraine, Romania, Hungary, in like the late 1800s and early 1900s from anti-Semitism. So it is real, it is evil, it is horrible, and it needs to be called out. And I really appreciate seeing that on the channel where you call out anti-Semitism,
Did you just say it
consistently.
is real?
Huh? Oh yeah,
you just
I did say Israel. But it is real, but real, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, and this is why I think I understand. This is why people need to understand why Israel needs to exist. Like, people are very upset and angry, but I'm like, Jewish people have been oppressed for millennia, and this is it's a safe space. That doesn't mean that Palestinians can't have a home too, but it's like that's the issue. People get really upset, and they're like, "Well, Jewish people can't have a home." I'm like, based on what? They're like, "Oh, it's colonialism." I said, most countries are based on colonialism and imperialism. Like you can't separate it. You can't say, well, one's imperialism and colonialism is better than another's. If you want to say that Jewish people are imperialists and colonialists, you have to say the Muslims are too. It's just you can't hold that. You can't. It's an unfair, disingenuous standard. So
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yes,
have
it
a
is.
problem with anti-Semitism.
Yeah,
We
and
love Jews.
we've pointed out many times that how quickly people can turn and start calling for Jews to be wiped out kind of makes an airtight case for why they need their own place where they can defend themselves
Yes.
against people who want to wipe them out. But speaking of people who want to wipe them out, here's Nick Fuentes.
Off. Because the security guard, I don't know if you saw the video, Sneeko got hit in the face by a security guard.
He's smiling pretty hard. He's smiling like I was when I got hit. Is it that funny?
First, he was really obnoxious, really rude. He's flipping everybody off, pretending like he doesn't care.
You hear this? He's really rude. You guys are all flipping him off and screaming, F you, F you, F you. And he's really rude.
He was giving him a lot of guff. So he's flipping everybody off. He's dancing. Somebody knocks his hat off. He goes, okay. And then he leaps into the air, pulls the fist back.
Bro, he's wheeze laughing.
And the video of it is just crazy. I mean, I can't believe it's real. Like this guy flying through, literally leaping, flying into the air with the fist pulled back and blasts Sneeko in the face. And then he goes tumbling on the floor. The drama of the moment was crazy.
Nick does seem to be loving this, right?
He's enjoying it really, really.
And I'm trying to think because, Sneeko getting Superman punched in the face is, I would say, objectively funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I were, I'm trying to think of a parallel situation like AP. If we went out somewhere and we were hanging out, we were at some meeting or something like this, and a dude jumped up and Superman punched you. I still might think that there are elements that are funny about that, but would I be thinking this is like the funniest thing ever when I'm talking about it later on?
I would find it totally funny, so I would understand if you would then laugh with me as well. But
yeah, we'll see. But so Sneeko apparently isn't finding this as funny as our good buddy Nick here.
I saw this live, and I know that he was excited. He was enthusiastic about AFPAC, so that's why he's like smiling and laughing like this, and we're calling it. 2, it's also, there is a funny aspect to it. With 3, also, I was watching this, and I'm like, bro, am I like Samuel Jackson to Leonardo DiCaprio in Django Unchained? Like I'm never, like, that made me realize that I support the America First movement, and I think that we should remove Israel's influence on American politics. But no matter how much I agree with that point about removing Israel from America, I'm always going to be a to them.
He said, I'm always going to be an N-word to
really?
them.
Yeah. Yes, Sneeko. Yes, precisely. That's what you're going to be to them, always. That's precisely what you're going to be to them, always.
Mm-hmm.
You are a useful idiot. You're a useful idiot. That's what you are to them. And they will happily also call you that to your face or behind you. That's what you will stay. But I want to say something on the whole. I agree with the America First movement and the Israel thing, but I will get to that. Isa, go ahead.
Yeah, my question is about this idea of Israel being out of American politics. What does he expect it there to be? Mm-hmm. Israel has a relationship with the United States. Are you, like, the thing is, are you, like, this is the thing I'm not understanding. Do you care about Palestinian people? Is that the issue? Because if you do, then you have to engage Israel in creating, if you want it, like I said before, if you want something like a 2-state solution, which would be the best solution that you're looking for in this camp, is that you want Palestinians to have a home. Or if that's the issue, is it a Palestinian issue, or is it the issue that just Israel exists? Like, what do you feel is the position of Israel having control over the United States? I'm not understanding what that argument is. What does that mean?
There are 2 layers, 2 aspects to it.
Layers, like tiramisu.
Yes. If we are talking about the intentions and the perspectives of Nick Fuentes and people like him, to them it's not about Palestinians. They don't care about Palestinians. To them, it is simply about Jews and demonizing Jews, getting Jews completely, any Jewish influence or presence out of America, out of the West collectively, and then possibly out of the world entirely. That's what it is to them. So everything else is just an excuse. When it comes to Sneeko, asking what exactly the point is already too much, because Sneeko doesn't really know what the point is. Sneeko doesn't actually think about any of this. He just goes with the current trend. He goes with whatever the people around him say, whatever the crowd that he just joined believes in and says. That's all it is to him. Sneeko is not very bright. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't really have a point or a purpose. And that's what's so funny about this, because he's sitting there and he's saying, I agree and I respect with the America First movement, and I also think, we're Israel, we should get Israel out of American politics. Sneeko has never thought about any of these things further than just whatever slogans he hears. He doesn't know anything. He has no idea about anything. He doesn't know what this America First movement is actually about in practice. He doesn't know the history of this movement. He doesn't know how Israel is supposedly involved in American politics and what removing Israel would mean and what it would entail and so on. He doesn't know about any of this. The guy is a complete idiot who is popular because he was a streamer who talked about, I don't know, games, dating, women, how women should behave or be or have or you should use them for sex as much as possible, even if
Yes,
they don't
good
want it.
advice.
This is the kind of stuff that he got popular for. So now he's talking about politics. It's so stupid.
It's pretty bad. And then, matter of fact, let's go ahead and let me back it up a little bit, and then we'll let him finish out his thought there. But it's interesting that he starts catching a glimpse of what's going on, but also, like, how is it not more obvious to you?
To remove Israel's influence on American politics. But no matter how much I agree with that point about removing Israel from America, I'm always going to be a to them. Like, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm always going to be I'm always going to be the brown Muslim. And it's like, there's only so much alignment that I can really have. And Nick's my friend. Like, I don't want people to clip this and get upset. It made me like, bro, like, am I massa? Oh, get out the way. Like,
Yes, that is exactly
You know
what
what?
you are acting like. Sneaky.
You know what the funny thing is? It looks here like he has for a moment he has this insight, this moment of realization.
Mhm.
I can already predict what's going to happen after this, though. Nothing is going to happen. It will just
No.
his relationship with Nick Fuentes is just going to continue, and this will be like he will have this realization. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. I don't know. I don't think that's. I was probably wrong.
Mhm.
And Nick Fuentes is my best friend. He's so base. He's so cool.
Mhm. Yeah.
I have
And
another question too.
well,
that
one second. I just wanted to sort of the thing that he missed there. The thing that he's missing is you've got the groypers who are using him, but the other guys who are using him are the Dawa guys, right?
Yes.
Everyone's using him just to get access to his fan base, and it's like, Sneeko spends all these years becoming more and more popular for whatever kind of videos he's making and so on, until he gets this he gets a really big crowd of followers, and then you've got all these Nazis and Dawa Gandists and so on, and they use him, and he starts to see glimpses of it, but he's still, as AP pointed out, it's not going to go anywhere. He's still going to keep being used by the exact same guys. But what were you saying, Isa?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. The question
good.
I had was
Shame on
about. You're funny. My question is this anti-Semitic strand. I don't really get it, because I'm like, all the heroes that you have are Israelites or Jews or Hebrews. David, Solomon, Aaron, Moses, Jonah, Isaiah, Jeremiah, all of these heroes that these people believe in, including Jesus. You believe in all of these heroes. What do you think that they are? Do you think they're Italian and Irish? I mean, These people were all Israelites or Jews or Hebrews, whatever term you want to use. It's just so bizarre to me. I'm like, what are you doing? Like creating a retcon of history? Are you trying to change history? Like that was the bizarre question that I saw in that debate with you about, is Jesus a Muslim? Like, did he pray 5 times a day? Did he go to Jummah prayers? Did he give zakat? Jews actually have to give 10%. They can't give 2.5%. They have to give, 4 times that amount. Did he fast the month of Ramadan? Well, he maybe fasted, Yom Kippur or Tisha B'Av, those holidays, like the whole day fasting. But did he make salat? Did he do any of these 5 pillars? I mean, if you say he didn't, then why would he be a Muslim? I don't. It's so bizarre. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
In fact, Jesus preached inside a place of worship in a building. What kind of a place of worship was that, David?
A mosque.
It was a synagogue, wasn't it?
That's true.
It was a synagogue.
Isn't that weird?
It was a synagogue. Among
was
the
doing
religious
dawah.
Jewish preachers with the Torah in the regular traditional Jewish attire and way. He was standing there and was invited to preach inside a synagogue among Jews.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because he was a Jew like all the others.
They were really friendly towards Palestinian Muslims.
That's the thing, Esau. You're
who are you talking to,
you're
Esau?
muted.
You're muted.
You're muted. Yeah, you're muted.
He's still muted.
You're still muted.
Sorry. No, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's so bizarre to me. I don't understand it, and I think it's just a strange analysis, and it is anti-Semitism. It is horrific, and it's like, I'm tired of racism and bigotry and hatred. Like, it's exhausting, and it's like, you want people to respect you and give you dignity and give you honor, and then you hate other people. It makes no sense to me. You said it, like like people say, I want you to care about Palestinians, and we should. But you're playing this game where you're like, want you to care about Palestinians, but don't care about Israelis. Don't care about what happened on 10/7. You need to care about 10/7. And I saw you gave a commentary on Bassem Youssef, and he did it right. Whether you agree with him or not, he condemned Hamas. You have to condemn Hamas. You can't play this game where you're like, their resistance. I'm like, this is not what resistance is. You don't kill, murder innocent people and assault people. You don't do that. And then you don't make lies up and say that didn't happen. It did happen. And it's just so dishonest and disingenuous. And it hurts me when I hear that. Like, it's so awful,
Well, it's kind of sounds like white colonialism when you deny people their right to go around and murder and kill and rape people. So it's kind of very offensive, honestly. But the thing is, when it comes to their respected figures being Jews, this is one of those issues, and I briefly brought that up earlier because it's happening right now again on social media, where certain people, certain Christians, in the face of these neo-Nazis, who, by the way, Nick Fuentes doesn't just claim to be a secular neo-Nazi. He claims to be a very religious Catholic, and he wants Catholicism as a state religion for America, and wants it to be basically enforced, and believes and tries to use and abuse Christianity as propaganda and Catholicism as propaganda. So he firmly, supposedly believes in Jesus. So of course, the curious thing is that he himself and all the other gropers, as they are called, are significantly less Christian than the average atheist or than anyone that I know, honestly. Terrible Christians for some reason. But they do believe in Jesus. And when you bring up to them that Jesus was actually Jewish, that he was actually a Jew, they actually start having a problem with that. And they start trying to argue with you and trying to rewrite what it means to be Jewish. They say, no, he was not a Jewish. He was not a Jew. He was not Jewish. No, he was only from a place where Jews were. Because they're sick. They are paranoid. They are sick. They are so filled with hate that they will lovingly ignore these truths. they failed to realize that their greatest hero was actually a Jew in a Jewish society surrounded by Jews, that anything that happened between him and others was an internal event among Jews. It is stupid. It is, you can't expect much reason, much rationality, much intelligence on their part, because all they do is people want to, find someone or something to blame because things are not going the way they should be going according to them in their lives, or because, I don't know, they can't get out of their rooms, they are pathetic individuals, can't get anywhere in their lives, and they think, well, who is to blame for all of this? Who is to blame for all of this? Well, easiest target, Jews. That's it. Let's just blame the Jews. Let's blame the Jews for everything that happens to us. So they go for that. Because the easiest target to always blame for anything that goes wrong in your life, in your society, were the Jews, historically speaking. And that's what they're doing too.
Or
That's
the
what they
Turks.
do.
You
Yeah.
should start blaming the Turks for everything.
Yeah. Terrible people. Yeah.
Let's check out some super chats and then got a little bit more. Is the Quran also sarcastic when condemning Jews and Christians to hell? I see sarcasm in Quran everywhere I read now. Yeah, so this is based on the earlier discussion on Chris's channel, where going through all these passages that affirm the Torah and the gospel, and the Muslims' response was that Allah's just being sarcastic in these passages. So that's interesting. That's interesting. Pray for the souls of the Muslims that lost their family members in Mecca. This is a huge tragedy. Yeah, because again, guys, it's hot for several more days, and it's actually getting hotter. It's actually getting hotter there. So again, if you know anybody who's over there, if you're a Muslim, you know anyone who's over there, send them a message. Tell them, guys, come on. Don't be stupid. Do you think a Muslim would mind dying during pilgrimage? If I'm not mistaken, some of them would actually be proud of it. Yeah, that's what AP was talking about earlier.
Yep.
Yeah, you could say, hey, good way to go, being faithful. Pray for the souls of the Muslims that lost their lives in Mecca, and also pray for the families that are suffering right now. Robin Hood says, wanted to get my super chat in before boarding a flight to Ukraine. Pray for Ukraine and Israel. Thanks for all you do. And to Ukraine, eh?
That's based.
Happy to catch you guys live again. Have you seen where people are buying pigs in land where mosques are supposed to be built, so Muslims are forced to stop? I did see people spreading pig waste on a field to dissuade people from crossing in. Where was that? Poland or something? You see what I was talking about, AP?
Nope. It's pretty rude.
They were spreading pig crap all around the border to try and convince people to not walk through it.
That's pretty rude.
Pretty wild. Remember, guys, they love death more than we love life. If they die, they die. Rocky reference. That was Ivan Drago. If he dies, he dies. But yeah, it's this other situation where you've got the Muhammad hijabs of the world. We love death more than you love life. And so, okay, so we're actually more concerned for the Muslim lives than the Dawa guys are. Here are some shekels. Here are some more shekels from the Scandinavian branch of Mossad. Yes, we need these Scandinavian branch. Hey, what is this? What is this, AP?
Nothing. It says something very nice in Turkish. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Something very nice. Yo, David, have you ever seen the 90s show Freaks and Geeks? You look like the product if they both combined. Clean the smudge of your glasses, geek. No. Who is this? I'm about to block this guy for being a Mike Winger nerd fan. Winger said Jesus was a Jedi. What a nerd. Yeah, he's a nerd. Hindu was a Persian word for Sindhu. Hindu means people who lived by the river. Yeah, so refer to the river, and then became applied
That's
to
correct.
the people who are from that area. So Hindu, back in the day, would just be used someone from over there, and then eventually came to apply to the religion. I like Isa. He's $3 away from Christianity. What? I got $3 right now. Why are Catholics and converts to Catholicism generally opposed to Jewish people or less supportive of Israel than evangelicals? Candace, Nick Fuentes, historically Catholic Church mistreated Jews as well. Yeah, I don't know about the actual statistics, so I don't, and I wouldn't know about the reasons. Once the actual numbers are in, I wouldn't be aware of the reasons, but we should get someone who studies this stuff to comment.
The thing that there is one reason actually, which is why supporting Israel and Zionism is especially popular in the West among Protestants. It's because there was a movement several centuries ago. I don't know. I kind of need to look into that again. But so Christian Zionism started as a movement in among Protestants several centuries ago, where the idea of properly understanding the Bible and supporting a struggle for Jewish preservation in the Jewish homeland was seen as a good Christian, good ideal thing. There's a name for that, isn't it? Called restorationism. In that way, I don't know. It's an interesting topic, but there is such a point. It just happened as a movement.
AP, who are you supporting in the Euro Cup? Who cares? What is that? Is that more soccer?
In the Euro, it's called football, not soccer. I don't know. I haven't been following it really.
So there's Euro Cup and then there's World Cup. Is that why I was seeing stupid soccer popping up earlier? I was like, gosh, is it already time for World Cup again? But there's this other thing, Euro Cup before World Cup.
Yeah, the Euro Cup is...
Gosh, how many stupid tournaments do they have every year? I don't even know what to do.
Quite nice.
In the YouTube AI chat here, they said Mike Winger is getting talk about YouTube is getting too nerdy for saying that nonsense. Yeah. I'll give you cash once you aren't a wingerling anymore. Not a wingerling. Never have been, never will be. AP, have you considered that God was using his people to speak to you when you were in Israel? I think God considers you very dear to him because of all you have been through with your Muslim parents. God is your father and he loves you. And this comes from the Ayatollah Khomeini himself.
I wasn't paying attention to who wrote that, but that kind of makes it funny. I appreciate that. It's an interesting perspective. That's the thing with interpretations, but I appreciate your interpretation of the situation.
Well, I don't know how you'd avoid that interpretation. You go over there. What's going on? Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So valid point. D here says thoughts on the Black Hebrew Israelites. Yeah. Vocab.
I have so much myself. I've met them.
Go ahead. Because I was gonna tell people because I'm only familiar with them through Vocab. Vocab's one of the main guys in dealing with them, but it was interesting. We went over to Europe and they're in Paris now. They're all over the UK and they have to modify their ideas some because the way that you would historically identify yourself as one of these lost Jews is that they believe there are prophecies that you would come over as slaves on slave ships and so on. And so this applies to them. Okay, what are you doing with all these guys in Europe? And so they have to come up with some additional interpretations. But yeah, what are your thoughts on those guys?
Wait. A very important topic. I forgot to answer the question earlier. Who I support in the Euro Cup. That's very important. Germany, of course. Anyway, go ahead, Isa.
It's funny. I've actually been to Germany. Funny enough, I've been to Berlin and I went to Checkpoint Charlie. And I was there as a journalist studying nuclear non-proliferation, getting rid of nuclear weapons in the world. Because Germany is one of the big advocates against nuclear weapons, which I think is pretty awesome. But
yes, we should always just mindlessly obey Germany, right?
I want more nuclear weapons. I want nuclear holocaust. I want nuclear war.
But I met because I'm from Philadelphia and we have Hebrew Israelites here.
Yeah.
They look like how do I put it? They look like mad was it Mad Max Rejects fused with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
There you
They're
go.
this combination where they're it's like Morphin time, and they're like, oh my god, I have to do an impersonation of them. They're so hilarious.
Break it
They go like
out!
this. They're like,
Brother,
they're like,
read!
you know, Jesus turned away from the white woman. Can you read Matthew 5:35? Jesus turned away from the white woman. I saw
Turned
it
away from
literally
who?
Turned away from
what?
who? Yeah, they
Turned away
did that
from
exactly. Turned
what?
away from who? The white woman.
I have to say,
I'm like, these people didn't even have that concept, so I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, King James was a black man, a so-called black man. He was a so-called black man because you're not a black man. You're a so-called black man, and you're actually really a Jew. And people who are Ashkenazi are not Jews. Like that, it was so bizarre. I saw it and I was like, what the heck is this? And they're polygamous too. So they marry lots of women, and I don't know. It's kind of abusive, you know?
This little episode with Issa here, imitating the Black Hebrew Israelites, is possibly the most racist thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
But what can we do? What can we do? This is what Sufis do.
I will be traumatized forever as a result of this.
Yeah, guys, but if you want more on the Hebrew Israelites, it's interesting because that movement is growing rapidly and
now you got
expanding.
David calling morons, like.
And Vocab pointed out one of the presentations he gave at the polemics conference we were at in London is that they're becoming a competitor with Islam as far as like street dawah. Now you got the street dawah over here, and you got the Hebrew Israelites over here, and it's interesting because I've seen the Hebrew Israelites actually use our arguments. Like I've seen Muslims come up to the Hebrew Israelites, and the Hebrew Israelites like, okay, break out the Quran, read. And he starts using Islamic dilemma material, saying, hey, your book affirms our book. And so anyway, interesting stuff.
That's fun.
But some of those guys, GMS thinks I'm actually one of them. So that's cool. Will you review Monk debate with Murray? Probably not. I don't know what that is.
I am thinking of reviewing that actually.
Is that Douglas Murray?
This week. Yeah, Douglas Murray had a debate with Mehdi Hassan.
Oh, Mehdi.
It was about anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism.
Well, what's the Monk debate?
It's a platform. Monk something. But yeah, it was about that whole topic, and Mehdi Hassan got humiliated.
We could go through it tomorrow.
No, tomorrow I have different plans.
Oh, nerd. Iman, Erhman, and Sheikh Brent, blah, blah, blah. Grade Old Testament and New Testament, Sahih. That's good. Now that Hezbollah is threatening Cyprus, what's AP's position on the Cypriot conflict? I know he hates Turks, but does he hate Turkish Cypriots too?
I hate everyone. So the last thing that happened with Cyprus is actually that so Hezbollah is threatening Israel. Israel is saying, if you continue this, we will invade you. And to which Hezbollah's Nasrallah said, we will come from the air and from the land and from the sea. And there is a talk about using Cyprus in the process, or Cyprus opening its border, its ports to Israel. So and the latest thing was that Nasrallah literally made an announcement, made a declaration, and said that if Cyprus does something, I need to look into that still, then they will be attacked as well. But it doesn't change anything for me. I just hate everyone.
What is up with Turkey, man? Turkey thinking they're the new Iran or something?
What's Turkey?
I don't know. Let's
The
see.
Kurdish situation is a big issue too.
Yeah. Don't get AP started on that. He can't stand Kurds.
I have a perfect solution for this. I said it before.
AP, it's inspirational how you have not let your inner groiper out on Issa, even though his skin is darker than yours, because we all seen how you are near. We all seen how you are near black women, Candace Owens, or is it because she's a she? So why are you nicer to Issa here? Is it because he's lighter or not a woman?
It's because
That's what they're asking.
of self-control right now. I'm trying to be nice.
That's good.
You're
Oh,
funny.
he's an actual guest here. Mike Minger. Hey, let's check out a clip.
No.
What? Oh yeah, we got the Ali Dawah here. So we've seen Ali Dawah, of course. We've seen Ali Dawah in videos having his wife communicate using a whiteboard. So he doesn't want to tempt everyone with her voice, and so she communicates using a whiteboard. Ali Dawah is defending Muhammad's relationship with Aisha in a recent video, and there's a woman there asking questions. She apparently doesn't know much, don't know who it is, but then he blurs out her hair. Let's go. Let's check this out.
I believe the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, married Aisha at 6 and he consummated marriage at 9. I have zero problem with that at all, as long as we understand why that happened and we look into why he married her and so many things about his character. I've spoken to non-Muslims in the park and they've asked me this question.
There you go. See it? You can still see her hair, but her hair is blurred. That's the new thing. Hey, yeah, you can come in here and check this and be in our video and ask me questions. I don't know how this isn't free mixing or whatever they want to call it, but...
And I will look at you and see you and greet you, but all the other viewers,
everyone else,
for them
yeah, they have to. Your hair has to be blurred in our video.
It's like inviting, I don't know, like an adult entertainment person over, having them sit there half naked and talk to them, and then blurring out the whole body. It's like no, it's not appropriate. We don't show that on here.
Well, also the thing that he's promoting is really sickening. Like, just to be like so open and happy about that. He's like, I have no problem. You should have a problem with that. Saying someone is 6 years old and having relations at 9, that's a really problematic thing that should be thought about, I think, It shouldn't just be like, for example, like if you go to like a Jewish Bible study, like people have difficulty, like they wrestle with the text when it comes to like the part where the woman, if a woman doesn't scream when she's being assaulted, she'd be put to death, right? Like that's something that believers are challenging because it's difficult in the text, And I think this type of thing of just being like, I'm happy and open about this thing, I don't know. It's just like, it's kind of shocking to hear someone saying that so openly, personally.
And there's the issue of sort of the moral compass. But the takeaway message here, child marriage, a 54-year-old man banging a 9-year-old girl, that gets the thumbs up from Ali Dawah. Seeing a woman's hair without being blurred, that crosses the line. So banging a kid, no problem. Showing hair, problem. It's the perfectly functioning moral compass of the Dawah community.
And it's like really sickening when I hear that. I'm like, how can you be like, I was a special ed teacher. I did AmeriCorps. I don't know if you're familiar with that, like Peace Corps, AmeriCorps. So I've done AmeriCorps and I've taught in like in schools, right? And I've taught young children. Like I've taught like very little kids who are like 3 or 4 and kids who are in high school are 14, 15 and not exactly 9 years old, but like young children. And it's just the idea of that is so appalling and disgusting and gross and such a power imbalance. I don't know. It just seems so horrific to even hear someone say that, especially someone that you have value, that you're saying is your hero. It's just, I don't know, it touches me in a very deep way to hear that.
How do you know that they were all children? Because According to
Muslim
Al
cowboy.
Dawa, according to Muslim Cowboy, according to General Kikichu, as soon as they show signs of maturity, no matter how old they are no longer children; they are adults. So it could be that they're 5 years old, but they're adults now and are ready for marriage. So
We have psychology. We know about cognitive development. We know
Pagan psychology.
it
That's-
just
this is
sounds
Done by
horrific.
put out by the Jews.
But
you're
I'm like,
falling.
then,
You're falling for the methods of the kuffar put forth and
kuffar.
imposed upon us by the Jews,
You see?
because
but you know,
See.
like people, we care a lot in a lot of our societies now about abusing children. Like, do you remember Jared Fogle? Jared Fogle was this person who supported Subway, and he wasn't actually, I don't know if he actually physically abused children, but he was looking at media where there was abuse of children, and
Nope,
that's a
he did.
huge crime here.
He did.
You know, oh, he also did that too. He abused the children too. But there are some people that just watch the media, right, and they go to jail for that, and it's such a horrific crime in our culture, right, across, like, you know, Europe, UK, United States, Canada. Like, these are horrific. This is a horrific thing to do this. Like, it's a horrific criminal act, right, to even just watch the media. And it's just hearing someone openly state this, I'm like, this is a crime. This is a felony to do this type of thing. Even looking at the media is a felony. Doing the act is even worse. You know, it's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's really disgusting and gross to me.
Yeah, that's one of the ongoing disturbing things is if you have all these Dawa guys and they all believe it's perfectly acceptable to have sex with children. So 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, and so on. And they believe that you can have second, third, fourth wives that aren't recognized, of course, by the government of the state they're in, but they go to Islamic, they go to, they just go to a mosque and get it confirmed Islamically that they're married. But if you've got all these guys and they believe that it's okay, and they're praising it. I mean, when you see Daniel Hakikachu and it's, no, you have to get them when they're young to maximize their fertility. So this is a guy who believes that it's best. The best thing you could do is get a girl when she's very young and start having sex with her. And these guys simultaneously believe that they can just go out and get their marriage at the mosque and it doesn't have to be recognized by the government. Like, what are these guys doing behind the scenes? Like, what's going on with these guys? And I mean, are they like marrying each other's daughters and stuff like that? And it's just, I don't know. It's pretty horrible and disgusting. But we're the bad guys for pointing it out. If we point out that there's a problem here, we're the bad guys. So anyway, recap. Hair
do you
needs
both
to be
have
blurred.
children?
What's
by
that?
the way, I'm sorry. Do you both have children, by the way?
Yeah, we do.
yes,
Yeah, so you have children. I don't have children right now. I'm not married, but like, if I did have children, like, I've been a teacher, like, if I had children, it just sounds so horrific. I would never allow this to happen to my daughter, ever. Like, never, ever. It's so disgusting. It's so gross. It's what I would call it evil. It's evil. It's an evil thing. And it's like, we can't condone it. We can't support it. We can't promote it. And I don't know, like, when I hear someone say, oh, this is okay to do this, it makes me feel like, I don't know, like, inside you feel like your stomach drop. That's like how disgusting it is to me.
And it's a weird thing because the UK prison system is very different in that it has tons of Muslims. You have lots of guys coming in there from the grooming gangs and so on. And apparently it's not a problem over there in the prison system for guys to have these views. Whereas over here in the US, that's like the worst of the worst. It's at the bottom of the prison barrel. It's snitches and child molesters and so on. And so, yeah, like you were just saying, Issa, as far as someone like having kids, that would be the issue. If you walked up into a prison in the US and you start defending child marriage and having sex with 5-year-olds or 6 years old, like these Dawa guys, someone's going to clock you. He's going to be thinking about his own daughter and he's just going to clock you for saying that. And then you're not going to be saying that stuff anymore. But yeah, UK, different system. Anyway, so the takeaway here, ladies and gentlemen, blur your hair. Keep your hair blurred. Seeing a grown woman's hair, bad. Banging a little kid, good. Just got to understand Dawa here. But let's go.
Wallahi, after I've broken it down, they said, that makes sense. So if
Oh,
it's
this
from
is him
angle,
saying.
okay,
This is him saying.
Wallahi, after I've broken it down, they said, that makes sense. And we look into why he married her and so many things about his character. I've spoken to non-Muslims in the park and they've asked me this question. Wallahi, after I've broken it down, they said, that makes sense.
Where was this? Where was it? Yeah, you might be talking to someone who's completely clueless and so on, which that's the entire goal of dawah nowadays, is finding people who are completely clueless. We saw that over and over again. We tried talking to people at Speaker's Corner, these dawah tables. They will not talk to you if they know you have some understanding of what's in the Muslim sources. So yeah, who is Ali Dawah saying that he had a conversation about this and they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense why you want to bang little kids. Who is he talking to? He wasn't talking to someone who's knowledgeable either of what's in the Muslim sources or someone who's knowledgeable of psychology or medicine or any of those fields, because they would not be affirming that. It's a bad idea.
If it's from this angle, okay, we understand why he did that. Because in the UK, for example, 100 years ago, in William Blackstone's book, he talks about British common law. Girls were betrothed at the age of 7 in the UK 100 years ago.
Betrothed. Look at this doofus. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, you didn't have sex with them. You didn't. You waited. Yes, you could have marriages arranged and so on. You didn't have sex with them. You creepy. You're talking about having sex with little kids. That's not what they're talking about.
And even if it were true,
yeah, so what?
True,
yeah, right?
it's a tu quoque fallacy. This is the thing that I've seen these people do is they say, well, look at these European cultures. They did it a couple hundred years ago. Well, they were wrong. If they did that, then they're wrong, and we should condemn them. It's not that, oh, well, because this thing it was right. Well, your culture does it. That makes it right. No, it doesn't make it right. It's still wrong to abuse children. This shouldn't be hard. This is not rocket science.
Yeah, and it's insane because the reasoning there, oh, if they did it in the past, then you can't object to it. Well, that's like ruling out the concept of moral progress, of actually realizing over time that something is harmful and then saying, let's not do that anymore because it's harmful. What they're saying is, no, if you ever did it, then you can't object to it. That's insane. And they would realize it as soon as if they started objecting to alcohol or something like that, it would say, but lots of people drink. Suddenly it would be, who cares? Who cares? It's just wrong. You don't do it. So anyway.
Did he say 100 years ago?
Yeah, something like that.
That's not even true. But
you don't know what you're talking about.
That's not even true.
How do you know you weren't there?
It wasn't common. It wasn't common 100 years ago. But yeah, the thing is also, people are supposed to learn. Mm-hmm. People are supposed to explore the world, explore the life, and learn. But according to these people's ideology and idea, no, you're not supposed to learn. You're not supposed to understand. You're not supposed to develop. You're supposed to stay exactly the way things were according to us 1,400 years ago.
Well, that's what you got to do.
And one other thing too. I'm sorry. One other thing too is, like, let's say that younger people did get married. Did they marry really, really old people? Like that's an important question. Maybe there were young people that were arranged to young people. That is not really shocking. And maybe they get to know each other and then they have relations when they are of age. Like that's a very different standard. But what it's trickery. What I think I'm hearing here is it's like a smoke and mirrors kind of trick where it's like it's a deflection where you're like, well, there's something that looks kind of similar. So instead of actually fully engaging, I'm going to take the part that sort of agrees with what I'm saying. I'm not going to take the context. And then I'm going to throw out my narrative, this disgusting, gross narrative, and keep propagating it like it's something good. It's evil. It's not good.
That's very racist.
Yeah, it's pretty much the most racist thing I've ever heard since the last time Issa talked.
Yeah.
Years ago, in William Blackstone's book, he talks about British common law. Girls were betrothed at the age of 7 in the UK 100 years ago.
Look at this guy.
Forget
yes.
1,500 years ago, 100 years ago. What we're saying is this: no one ever used this argument against the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, ever. This was something that was brought new in the 1900s by Orientalists, where they came and brought this new.
Little side note: how many people?
What about Voltaire?
Well, I'm thinking, like, who knew about this? When I first heard about this, I was in prison and someone saw it in a Voice of the Martyrs article, which referred to Muhammad having sex with a 9-year-old girl. And I thought, there's no way, man. There's no way. There's no way that happened. And so, but like, if you go back 100 years, if you're in the UK or the US or something like that, how many people know about the history of Muhammad to raise this as a criticism? Pretty much no one. So the only people who could raise this as a criticism would be the Orientalists, who are actually like start studying the Muslim sources and stuff, and they bring it up. So who are you expecting this to come from? People don't know about it. The world doesn't know about it. It's not until, I mean, people are still surprised when they find out about it today. You can look at pearly things and so on, like, what? This really happened? So it's still, people are still just finding out about what's in the Muslim sources today. So I don't know why. I don't know how.
I had one quick question to AP. AP, when you were a Muslim, did you believe this yourself, or did you just that's just other stuff and I don't really accept this?
In all honesty, it never really came up when I was when I was a Muslim. Even when I was religious and going into things, it never really came up. I don't remember even really thinking about it, honestly.
You probably saw the movie The Message. Like, the way The Message shows Islam, it's very different than, like, the Prophet Muhammad's not even polygamous in that. You only see him being married to Khadija, and that's it. There is no mention of Aisha. There's none of that. You know what I mean? And it really makes Islam look very well. Like, that's a lot of Muslims I know, that's the Islam they believe in, is the Islam viewed in The Message or Ar-Risala, that movie. That's how people view Islam. They don't view it from these kind of other sources,
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal. Oh my gosh, your prophet married. Da, da, da. So we're saying that we don't study our religion and we don't come to finding out the reasons. Then we find it problematic because we're like, I can't answer this. The only choice I have is this: either I'm going to reject the hadith and say it's weak, or I don't accept it, or say, you know what, actually the hadith is authentic. Here is the reason why he did it.
I don't know why.
Dear Muslim apologists, why do you always have to play this stupid music and think it sounds good? It doesn't sound good. It sounds like somebody's dying. It sounds like somebody is brutally suffering. It doesn't sound pleasant. It adds nothing to the conversation. In fact, it makes it less listenable. It is so terrible. Like, I hear it and it sounds like somebody is being operated on, somebody's dying, like without any anesthesia or anything. They're suffering, they're brutally crying out for help. And honestly, when I hear it, I want to die too. I get it.
It's funny that because you didn't know what our last clip was, AP, but you bring up, they always have to put this music in there and stuff like that. But let's go ahead. I was going to take some super chats first, but since you brought it up, here's this awesome Dawa sales pitch that's been circulating. But check out the sales pitch. Check out the sales pitch for Dawa.
Jannah, what do you want? You want girls? Jannah, there's girls. There's girls. What do you want? Drink. There's rivers of wine. You want yards? There's yards. Gold, brick, silver, brick, gold.
What do you think of the music, AP? Gold, brick, silver, brick. Yeah. You say this what religion be about? Yeah. You anything you want. Anything you want.
Silver stuff. You can chill, you can party, you can
chill, you can party, you can
play up in Jannah.
You can play up in Jannah with the girls.
Jannah's so banging, look what
it's banging.
Allah described Jannah. Look what he said. He described the drink in Jannah.
The drink.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَيُسْقَوْنَ مِنْ رَحِيقٍ مَخْتُومٍ. They'll be made to drink from رَحِيقٍ مَخْتُومٍ, which is a drink.
It's a drink. It's a drink. Did you know that there's a drink in Jannah, AP? How can you reject this when you don't even think about the drink? It's a drink!
It's one thing to have the music in the video. It's another thing to make it so loud and annoying. What is this, man? It's the way he's
Dawa. Which part of Dawa didn't you understand?
Wouldn't it be much better to add a beat to that and to do something nice? By the way, this guy was a rapper apparently before he became a Muslim. Before he became
really talented, really talented. But I wanted to tell you something funny too. When there's a lot of anti-blackness that I've seen in particularly the United States, in the Muslim community, there's a lot of anti-blackness. And there was there's a video, you should look it up, about a man doing the adhan, and he does it kind of like an R&B way of doing it. And then you see like South Asian and Arab people mocking him. You know, you see the other people who are not African American and not black. They're saying the adhan is not a song, and they're like mocking this man who I think sings very beautifully. You know, he
It
recites the
literally is a
adhan.
song.
I agree.
It
It's
is literally
music.
it is music.
It's music. It's music, and I think it's this weird thing where you say it's not music. It
music.
has rhythm. It has like you can write notes to it. It follows music theory. It's the same thing, but it's weird because they're like we like and there's sort of this Arabo supremacy narrative, which is a problem. Like as a DEI guy, I'm like, why are you pushing Arabo supremacy? What about if I have a Turkish tune? Like I've heard people insult people who recite Quran in Turkish. Like for example, you have Surah Ikhlas, and they say Kihu Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad. Like there's a way of pronouncing it like that, right? And they're like, that's wrong. And I'm like, that's just a Turkish pronunciation. What's wrong with that? They're like, well, you're not doing it the Arab way. You're not saying, you know, like you're not saying Qul hu Allahu Ahad. You know, like I'm like, this is insane. It's a complete domination. It's complete bigotry, and it's racism. They're saying my Arab narrative is superior to your Turkish narrative. It's superior to your black position, Malaysian. Anything that's not Arab needs to be put down. And like another thing that I've noticed is like people who are of European ancestry and they become Muslim, they're treated very badly. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is like you showed that woman from Ireland. I'm like, it's disgusting. What was that? Like kind of like voyeurism where they're saying, oh, are you married? Like, that's so nasty. You don't know this woman. You didn't even get to know her. And you're like, I'm trying to have a relationship. And I'm like, because she's Caucasian. Like, it's disgusting. I don't know. I have a lot of issues, but.
That's pretty.
You definitely have some issues.
You could clip a lot of these things here, like when Isa, in a very racist fashion, said all non-Arabs need to be put down. Things like.
Yeah. That was extremely messed up.
Yeah. What was that all?
But here's some more music. I don't think he goes anywhere else other than just the drink. And he starts talking about the drink.
The drink. That's pure.
That's pure. That's pure.
There's
That's not pure. Why are you stuttering?
Allah said, "Khitamuhu misk." When you drink a drink, what's the worst part of the drink? What's the
I like this little question, this little quiz he has, and no one gets it right. What's the worst part of the drink? And he's saying something. It's the end. It's the end of the drink. It's like, what are you doing? What are you even talking about? Well, let's see.
drink? What's the worst part of the drink that everyone needs? What is it? Tell me. What is it? Huh? No. Any drink.
Any drink.
Like tea
Any drink, no matter what it is. What's the worst part of the drink?
or coffee. The last part, right?
What?
What?
I have coffee here. How's the worst? I mean, what? Because it's over? That's the worst part? Is because it's done when you get to the end? I don't know. I don't even know what he's saying. But this
Ending of the drink. The ending of the drink is the part that everyone needs, no? Remember the tea, the little bits, the part at the end. The ending is not nice, it's chewy, it's bits, it tastes to a mashup, right? But Allah said this drink, khitamuhu misk.
Wow. All right.
I drink
that
it all out. I don't know what he's talking about. So. Hey, honestly,
Are you ready
this
to
is
convert back?
such a stupid tactic, and I never understood it. Okay, even when I was a religious Muslim and I believed I believed in all the rewards in heaven and all that, which I also read plenty of it in the Quran. I didn't really feel enticed or drawn closer or more devout as a result of that. But aside from that, when people further, aside from the Quran, I went on to describe, and you will get this, and you will get that, and you will get this, and that, and all the pleasures and drinks and cups and fields and wine and rivers and women and stuff. That never meant anything to me, honestly, and I don't understand it. Why is this the way to make people feel so great about it? You're promising something that you yourself don't even know, haven't even seen, that you only read in a scripture or that you heard from somewhere, and you're trying to use this to make people love the afterlife. It's just
Someone, Jesse said he's definitely not using a Keurig. Because he wouldn't have.
But I'm like, and it's just so like, it's so self-indulgent. It's disgusting. It's just, I want stuff. I don't want stuff now. I want stuff in the future. Give me more and more stuff. It's not like, hey, I want to be a good human being for the sake of being a good human being. I don't want to go help the unhoused. Like, I never hear people doing that. What about going? I'd love to see Muslims, particularly in the city that I'm in, saying, hey, let's go feed the unhoused. You know, all these Christian organizations like Sunday Breakfast Mission, Chosen 300, all these organizations in my area, they all serve the unhoused. You have Jewish Federation. I'd love to see more Muslim organizations doing that and saying, yo, we want to help, you know, the unhoused. That's what kind of dawah, that would be the best kind of dawah. Go and help people. But all I see is people on street corners talking. It's not actually walking. You know, my dad taught me something as a young child. He said, talk is very easy, action is very difficult. And I think that these people, they like to talk, but they don't have any real action to back up their talking.
Yeah, it is pretty lame, like, because these are the kinds of guys who are like, yeah, we got to go out and violently subjugate the world, and we're going to, we have to, you know, we're going to go around defending child marriage and all this stuff, and it's also, we get these banging rivers of wine and stuff in the afterlife, and get to spend eternity deflowering virgins and so on. It's like, oh my goodness. And what's crazy, going along the lines of what you were just talking about here, he says, these are the guys who view themselves as morally superior to everyone else.
Of course, they're very superior. Very, very superior.
Yes, powerful. All right, take some super chats. Can't stand any more videos of any of these guys. Ape, Viva Turkey. They scored 2 extraordinary goals. 2 extraordinary goals in their win against Georgia. Did you know that?
We don't have more singing. We need more. Like,
yeah, we need to do that.
Moaning.
Yeah. We should just have someone on here whose only job is to do like a background moaning throughout the entire deal. The whole time we're talking in the background is and that would make our shows more powerful.
Yeah, we would immediately get 50,000 live viewers.
No one cares about soccer or Turkey here. Thank you.
Turkey, I don't care about Turkey, but thanks for letting me know.
Get that bodyguard on the show. You mean the bouncer? I would totally have that bouncer on the show. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Mike Tyson. Yeah, these are about the Sneeko thing earlier. Sneeko has sneak level 0. Thank you guys for opening my eyes on so much over the past year. Respect for the work you do. Keep it up. And so we shall. More from the Ayatollah here. For some reason, YouTube is banning the name in my super chat, but you guys really need to check out Lutheran Satire's recent hilarious video addressing Christian nationalism. It's phenomenal. I will. Yeah, Lutheran Satire is one of the, that's been a channel for it. Doesn't make a lot of videos, but when he makes videos, they're pretty good. So yeah, I'll check that out.
It can't be that good because I have never heard of it. So.
Well, because you're an atheist. If it was atheist satire, then you'd be like, oh, I watched it 10 times. Sneeko never heard of this cowboy hat.
I love that the actor, the spaghetti westerns, Clint Eastwood. I've watched all of those, Fistful of Dollars. They're really good. It's based off of Kurosawa films, so really good stuff. The spaghetti westerns are really fun.
Oh, the good, the bad, and the ugly is
spectacular.
That would be on my top. That would be on my top 10 list. Matter of fact, Quentin Tarantino, he was asked about the best directed film of all time. He said, "The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly." Fuentes' father is Mexican, his mother is Italian. The sad state of white nationalism. Yeah, I mean, and guys, if
Pakistani, and all the members, the activists, the well-known ones are black, Pakistani, Latino, and so on. Very interesting white men.
Yeah, and guys, for anyone who thinks that this really sucks and it looks like it's bad because these guys are running their mouths all over Twitter, keep in mind this is doomed to die out in epic fashion. Because what? Because people are mixing up too fast, right? People are getting married, right? People are, and I've mentioned this before, but if you go back. It was pretty recent where you weren't even allowed to marry someone of a different race, and yet if I was just to have a family reunion now with everyone who's married into everyone else's family, I mean, I married a woman who's half Filipino. Her sister who's also half white, half Filipino, married a guy who's half white, half black. So their kids are all mixed up. The point is, you've got all the races in lots of families now. So
which is amazing. I love that.
That's going. Yeah, but the point is, that's going to continue. How once everyone has a black relative, an Asian relative, a Latino relative, once everyone has, how are you going to make your case with a straight face anymore? Saying, hey, get rid of half your family now. Get rid of half your family so you could be part of our white nation. Idiots.
Oh, and the weird thing too about this white nationalism, I'm so sorry. I was just gonna say one quick thing about these are people calling themselves Christian. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, like Jesus Christ is against everything you stand for. You think if Jesus saw you, he would be for it? What you're doing is probably the most evil thing you can do, is you are trying to peddle your disgusting philosophical beliefs and trying to justify it with Jesus. That's really disgusting. That's a really evil move, I think.
Yep.
You and I are non-Christians, and we are better than these groiper white
nationalists. Nick Fuentes is the best.
Did you see that? Did you see that photo recently of these 5 idiots posing, like Suleiman Ahmed and Lupus?
And then there was that girl whose only claim to fame was she said the N-word or something like that. But then they all attacked her when she left. All the groipers attacked her when she left.
No, they're saying she's actually a Jew. She's been planted in our movement to destroy it from the inside by the Jews.
Yeah, this is
ridiculous. These people are so imbecilic. I'm thinking if Hitler came back today, like if he suddenly stood up and thought, "Let me see what my people are doing, what my fans are doing," and he saw them, he would shoot himself again. Yeah,
these losers are the best you can come up with.
Yeah, he would shoot himself again. And
shoot himself again. That's what they do. Yeah. Lloyd here says, Mike Winger's the type of guy to hold the door open for you when you are clearly too far away, so you have to run. That is a perfect description of Mike Winger. Nick is a Mike Winger fan. Enough said. No, we have to be fair. They would not be fans of each other. Two people can be horribly bad in completely different ways. I was watching Spike Lee's Black Klansman today, and it made me think of you and the resurgence of these ideas. It's a graham cracker Oreo across my screen. Because you got the white in the middle. That's funny on the screen. AP, do niqab shops have mannequins? The amount of jump scares that must happen if they do. Also, a man trying to find his Muslim wife in that store must be like playing a game of Marco Polo. You hear this? Talking about if you go to a niqab shop and they're actually, how do you distinguish between a mannequin? Well,
it's pretty
I guess
racist.
one would be moving.
Yeah.
David, as the Christian in the house, do you count Jesus as a Jew? Of course. Do you see the 2024 Jews differently since many are not religious? What do you mean? Differently from when? From the first century? Yes. Yes, that would be very different from the first century. Mm-hmm. This channel is Fat IP. That's funny. Num num, I was hungry. I eat the Quran, and it's from Fat IP.
That's the funny thing with these groypers too. They depict Jews in general with this stereotypical Orthodox Jew-looking guy with the hat and then totally distorted face, and they do that when they talk about Israel. Israel is half of Israel describe themselves as secular, and only 30% declare that they are religious.
Mm-hmm.
And what about Messianic Jews? Like, there might be Jewish believers in Christ. Like, I would say that they're Jews too. Some people say, oh, they're not, but why aren't they? They're Jewish believers who believe in Jesus as their Messiah. I don't see that as a problem. For me, some people think that they're Christian. I'm like, whatever, you can call them that, but they identify as being Jewish, then they are Jewish, and that's it. In my book.
AP, wasn't it? I think it was Rebecca who was telling us that there was some poll, and it's like 20% of Orthodox rabbis said you would still be Jewish, even if you believe in Jesus as the Messiah? Like you could still be. Didn't she tell us
yeah,
that?
yeah.
And she said you could. They still believe you could be Orthodox Jew and accept Jesus as the Messiah and stuff. It's again,
Yeah,
it's a minority. It's a minority position, but that's a significant.
there's a
minority
difference
position.
of in the on that whole issue as well. Yeah, yeah.
Everyone in this stream has a phobia of Islam. Not Isa. What? What are you laughing at?
She's making a joke of me because I've been kind of critical of certain things. So
Yeah, that is. That's messed up. We thought you were going to come on here and actually defend all this stuff, and you just keep attacking everything.
Well,
Making
because
fun of it.
I think it's wrong. I think it's abhorrent, and I think Muslim communities shouldn't be upholding these types of things. I don't even know if like ancient Muslims thought this much. And it's interesting, even from what you shared, AP. It's like, oh, you were like, I wasn't even concerned with this stuff. And it's so weird that these people have this hyperfixation on really creepy, weird, disgusting, gross stuff. That's it. Like it's gross, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
This sounds very Islamophobic.
But yeah, Isa is one of the most Islamophobic guests we have ever had here, I would say.
And the one thing I actually wanted to say to it, and I wanted like from our last conversation, I felt really bad. Like, I'm like, I hate these focus on like apostate laws. I think it's so disgusting. I'm like, look, if you think there's a good position on this, why don't you try to help bring ex-Muslims back into Islam? Why are you nasty to them? That means you failed as a community. The ex-Muslim didn't fail. You failed. You failed as a Muslim community that made people leave because you did bad. You as a community, you should blame yourself and stop blaming other people. Yeah. Hold yourself accountable. That's my position, you know?
Yeah.
That sounds pretty based, honestly.
That's a based position.
That
needs to be shared. Wakanda was the black Hebrew Israelites' passion of the Christ. Black Panther? If Cyprus will open its ports to Israel, it might open an interesting situation with Turkey.
So the situation is actually, to expand on that very briefly, which is that Nasrallah and Hezbollah accuse Cyprus of already having opened their country, including ports and airports, military airports, to Israeli forces, and that Israeli forces are using Cyprus to militarily train there. And according to Nasrallah, Hezbollah also says that if there is a war between Lebanon and between Hezbollah and Israel, then Israel will also use Cyprus as a starting point to carry out attacks against Lebanon and against Hezbollah, which is why he's explicitly threatening Cyprus right now and saying, if a war starts, then you will be part of that war and you will be our enemy and we will strike you as well. So I don't know, these guys are pretty messed up. Threatening Israel, which is one of the most advanced militaries and countries in the world, is one thing, but then also issuing a threat to Cyprus on the other side, which entails much more conflict than just Israel, it's ridiculous. Animals.
I do think all of this stuff is connected to the avalanche of apostasy, in the sense that it's becoming common for Muslims in various areas to be worrying about, like, hey, we need to do something because the apostasy rates are skyrocketing, and we're looking at this, and if we don't do something now, it's just going to get worse. So we have to start doing something now. And the tendency for some of these groups is to, well, we need to start fighting. We got to do it.
The funny thing is also that Cyprus is part of the European Union. So attacking Cyprus would be directly a violation on European Union borders and grounds, which would involve the entire European Union. And this is what they want, actually. This is what Hezbollah wants. I mean, they are exploiting Lebanon and bleeding it dry. Lebanon is doing poorly, one of the least happy countries in the world right now. They have taken over and turned it into a complete mess. And all they want is to be a proxy for Iran and to cause a regional war. That's it.
That's what they do.
That's what they do.
David, it's talking about the woman having her hair blurred out. It's just a new hairstyle called a blur do.
Nice.
It's a style. I grew up in Southern California where it was frequently 110 and I never had a problem. Well, if you were out there for a long amount of time, you might, but not everyone's going to have a problem. Some people are. That's why if you have 1 million people and a percentage of them is going to have a problem being in 110-degree weather, you're going to get what? You're going to get hundreds of people dying. So it's a problem. It's a problem of statistics.
It's also very dry, and it requires you to walk long distances all day long in that heat.
Packed in like sardines with tons of other people. Maybe that's why some Muslims can't control themselves around goats, because they are covered head to toe in hair. Hey, this is very rude. We've got a Sufi Muslim on the show with us and you're talking trash. That's pretty messed up. Suddenly had revelation possibly inspired by that Mike Winger. If Mary was assumed into heaven, why didn't the apostles write that Mary was assumed into heaven, even in the latest books? Just saying.
That sounds pretty recent.
It's a poor defense of Mike Winger. Surah 25, 4-5 describes exactly what the Quran is. Yeah, that's one of the good passages on people of the time regarding these things of tales of the ancients. Did he conversion to Islam when? This would be the good time for it. Yes. A couple more here. Mr. Bukhari, you know the word Koab? You know the word Koab? I read an article about it. It refers to the stage of a woman's breasts when they are budding. Yeah, I forget which translation it is, but it translates it as swelling, because they're getting bigger, swelling. But yeah, I've seen budding as well. It was about your hories in paradise.
My horse.
Of course, Issa probably thinks, no, it's raisins. Thanks for all you do. God bless. Or for AP, science bless. Yeah, I mean, new channel coming out called Winger and Wood. Ugh. That would be half good. Ew. Brother, ooh. Here's one for Issa. What do you guys think of The Message 1976? I just saw it and was blown away by the narrative they pushed there. AP, good job on heretics. Yes, if anyone hasn't seen, I shared it in the I shared it as a community post, but AP had about a little under an hour, I think, interview on heretics. So yeah, guys, be sure to if you haven't watched that, watch that, and share it. Share that, spread that around, spread that interview around.
It's
good stuff.
Doing very well, and it was a very good interview. Mm-hmm. I must say, I think it was one of the best conversations I've ever had in terms of being interviewed and having a discussion on various topics. The guy's also, I mean, he has experience with interviewing people, and
he's a good interviewer. He's a good interviewer. It's not technically as cool as being interviewed walking through the old city of Jerusalem, the Muslim quarter of Jerusalem, but yeah, good interview. So yeah, guys, be sure to check that out. Issa, I've never seen The Message 1976. Why don't you fill everyone in? We already mentioned it.
Sure, I can. So it's actually filled with really famous actors from the time. So you have
Sean Connery.
Well, Sean Connery is not there, but you have other you have famous actors from like Westerners. Like a lot of them are British actors, but you have like Michael Benson. Some people are like, it's racist. This is something I really don't like, where people are like, the people who are the actors need to be the ethnicity. I'm like, no, if they're good actors,
Anthony Quinn.
Anthony Quinn is in it. He plays Hamza. You have Irene Pappas, who is a Greek actress. She plays Hind. You have Michael Ansara, who is also in I Dream of Genie. He had a cameo. He was a genie in one of those episodes. He was also in The Greatest Story Ever Told. I think it's a Roman soldier. He's a pretty famous actor, Michael Ansara. You have Michael Forrest, who was he was in a lot of Western movies, and he plays what is his name? Walid. What's his name? Khalid ibn Walid. He plays Khalid ibn Walid. And then you have the person who played Walid as like a villain, is like there's a show I used to love, a British comedy called Mind Your Language, and he plays an Italian in that. So that's really funny to see him. He's like an Italian who's sort of lecherous, and then he plays this Arab guy with a goatee. It's like really kind of good. They did an Arab version of it too, but Garrick Hagan is one of the main characters. He actually is in Star Wars. He plays Biggs Darklighter, like who's kind of a major supporting character, but he's
this is becoming like Mike Winger level nerd stuff.
Oh,
right
sorry.
here.
Sorry, I'm a bit of a film buff.
Just ask what you think about the message, and
Okay,
you're like, this brings us to the key grip of the film. The key grip, who was
I'm so sorry.
Who was Jim Montesor, and he was probably the best key grip of any film in history.
We're gonna get
I
a
am
whole.
so sorry. I gave the whole cast. I apologize for that. I'll give you the gist of the movie. So basically, the movie is sort of like the Ten Commandments, Ben-Hur. It fits into these epic films. It is a movie that it has a beautiful score. So Arabian Muslims will say it's haram, and it has really great music. That's actually one of the best parts of the movie is the music. But it's basically the story of Islam. And I'm going to be honest, as a scholar, it's sanitized. It doesn't have all those things from the Hadith. It's a very sanitized version, and for someone like me, it makes me really like it's kind of the Islam that I like. You know what I mean? It has really no controversial stuff. I'll be honest. I'm very honest. It's a very sanitized version that I like. Yeah. It doesn't see that those other folks are like.
We need the unsanitized version that we liked, and then you got your movie that you like, and then we got our movie that we like.
So The Heretics is a very unsanitized version. It's like really kind of a grotesque version of Islam. I hear that. So this movie is like a super epic, and I don't know if I can give you the link, but it's free on YouTube. You can watch it for free on YouTube. But it's really.
I would say that. Were you done? Do you want to continue?
Oh, I was just going to finish one last thing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to keep going, but the one thing that just to wrap it up in a nice bow is that basically it's a movie that really they don't show the Prophet, so the Prophet is not shown in the movie. Ali is not shown in the movie. A lot of these protagonists.
Yeah, we would show Muhammad in our version.
Yeah, I hear that, and it's really it's like a really pleasant view. There isn't apostate wars. There isn't any of that stuff. It's like it just shows Muslims as these kind of underdogs that overcome, and they do defensive war. This is how most Muslims believe. Like what the message shows is what I would say a lot of Muslims, I guess what you want to call in the Western world, that's what they believe Islam to be, is that movie's interpretation,
I would be very honest and say that. I watched that movie when I was a child. I watched it when I was a teenager. Later on, when I was an early adult, I watched it several times. I don't know, maybe 3-4 times or so. Still, I feel like I need to go back to watch it once again to have a recap and to remember everything about it. It's very. It has a good side to it with the whole music and feel-good aspect. The thing is, it's I would say it's a very disgustingly sanitized and sugar-coated version of Muhammad's story, made for Western audiences with Western cultural influence brutally imposed upon it. It's like, I don't know, like infusing this Western culture and cute, nice thinking, like infused into this rotten fruit with a syringe. That's basically what it is like to me, in my honest opinion. It removes all the bad stuff and just depicts Islam and Muhammad as this totally good, this force for good that was just after nothing except just following Allah and doing all the good stuff. That's what it goes for. And Muhammad is not shown. If I made a movie about Muhammad, it would be different. Yeah,
we got to do it. We got to get it done.
Yes,
it'll be powerful.
It would be funny if we made a reaction video to it.
Yeah, we could. We should just watch it. We should just watch it and react to it. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. Muslims' lack of logic in a nutshell. It all makes sense now. That's true of the Dawa guys. I pooped today. What? What is this?
Really?
What the heck is wrong? It's got some AP's fans coming over here saying weird stuff. In that Heretics episode, AP showed how he had mastered the word conquered. Conquered. It's the end of an era. So did you find out how to pronounce conquered? Were you saying conquered? I don't know if you know this, Isa, but AP would always say conquered. And that's when Muhammad came and conquered them. And then
it is literally conquered.
I think it's of the U, right? The pronunciation of that U in the word.
Yeah, it looks like that's how you pronounce it. That's a problem in English. You got all these words that look like something.
Conquered.
AP passage to look up. Mr. Bukhari, Gaza in 2005, Sahih Muslim 1438a.
What?
Ooh, hang on. We got a good question for
we went out with Allah's messenger on an expedition of Bilmus Sadiq and took captive some excellent Arab women, and we desired them, for we were suffering from the absence of our wives.
Yeah.
We also desired ransom for them, so we didn't have sexual intercourse with them, but by observing Azl. This is about...
this is the Azl one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's about, so we're doing an act whereas Allah's messenger is among us. Why not ask him? So Allah's messenger said it doesn't matter if you do it or don't do it. For every soul that is born, day of resurrection. So yeah, having sex with female captives.
Yeah. So the joke here is, since Israel pulled out in 2005, they did Azl, which is pulling out. Get it? You see, AP? The whole thing was a sick, perverted joke. And AP's like, "Ooh, let me carefully go through this passage."
I didn't even pay attention to that. That's
Petsu here says God created all creatures as vegan. Genesis 1:30. Later, out of necessity, He allowed flesh eating. Genesis 9:3. Tarun, God can't do mistakes. We got one of Tarun's best friends there, promoting veganism here. Isa, here you go, Isa. Hey, here you go, Isa. This one's for you. Isa, what is your best argument as to why Islam is correct and Christianity is not? You don't even come across like someone that's going to argue that Christianity isn't true or something like that. But
I think it's a zero-sum game fallacy. But I mean, if I was looking to argue as a lawyer, I don't agree with this argument, but this is an argument that one makes. And I don't agree with it because it's with the magical thinking, but the argument that I think people would say is the nature of God. They say this thing about the Trinity is very complex and it doesn't make sense. How can God be a man? This type of argument, which I'm not saying I subscribe to, but I think that this is the argument that I think may attract Muslim people to become Muslim, is that they say, look, Christianity is just illogical. There's this Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. God is just a force. God is just, God is all powerful, all knowing, all seeing. God has no form. But if you ask the Salafis, and this is to be honest, if you saw Jake the Metaphysician, he made a debate with Jake Dyer on Modern Day Debates. I think that's who. Jay Dyer, sorry, Jay Dyer, and he spent half of his opening talking about tashbih, which is anthropomorphism, and I'm like, dude, this is a losing argument for you because of your theology. You're doing what you're accusing Christians of doing. You're saying Christians are anthropomorphic.
Those guys are king of anthropomorphism.
So I would say that's probably the best argument that folks are going to use. But I think another argument they'll say, well, and you'll probably see that a lot of the Dawa folks say this. They say, look, Islam is the completion. Christians, you're almost there. You're a Windows 90, you're Windows 95, we're Windows Vista. We're the upgrade. We have everything you have, except we're upgraded. I think these are the arguments that we use. I don't personally agree with these arguments. I think they come from a place of it's not depth, but breadth. These are just very generic arguments that on superficial level look appealing, but if you're actually a deep philosopher and a theologian, they're not sound. They're not sound arguments, but I understand this is the kind of arguments I think one could use, and I think this is what may appeal people towards Islam through argumentation.
Issa, we're not made of glass here. You don't need to qualify everything and say, I'm not arguing this. I'm going to just spit it.
Stone
Just
him!
spit it. Spit the hot fire.
Because here's an interesting argument, because Muslims will not talk about this, but what about the Baha'i arguments against Islam? You know, Baha'i or say, look, we are the fulfillment. We have the Bab, we have Baha'u'llah, we have the fulfillment. And that's why Iran went really hard against the Baha'i, because the Bab was actually a Sayyid. He was a part of the Ahlul Bayt. He was the people. He's the people of the house. He's one of the chosen people, right? In Islamic tradition, you know, he's a Sayyid. And it was amazing because they went to kill him, right? And his followers and Baha'u'llah. And it's a kind of an interesting situation, because the Baha'is will say, we have fulfilled Islam. We believe in the Prophet. We believe in the Quran. We believe in all of this, except we are in the 21st century. We're evolved. We have the message. We are in a new epoch. And what can Muslims say against that? Because that same argument they use against Christianity is used against them. You know what I mean? It doesn't work very well.
More for Issa here. Issa, this is me and AP too. Issa, you asked why the Arab centrism, racism from the Muslims. CP, Christian Prince, earlier brought up how the Quran or Hadith teaches that Arabs are the best of people. Your thoughts, David, AP? Well, the Quran, Surah 3, verse 110, refers to Muslims as the best of peoples ever raised up for mankind. But I'm not sure which passages CP was referring to, but you do have, like in Tabari and so on, you have these passages where Muhammad's talking about ruling over the non-Arabs, Arabs ruling over the non-Arabs and so on. You have any thoughts on this, AP or Issa?
There are only, from what I know, that there are only some accounts that are not necessarily considered entirely reliable, where the Arabs are depicted as supreme or superior. I don't know if there's anything to that.
Yeah, we'd have to take a look. We'd have to take a look at whatever passages anyone's talking about.
I have a hot take on this. So the thing is, I'm like, what exactly even is an Arab? Like, the thing is, most of these people are
now you're sounding like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, because like Sudan.
What do you mean Arab?
What do you mean? the Sudanese are Arabized. These are Black Nubian peoples, right? And they're Arabized. They speak Arabic, but they're Black people, right? So like, this is a really interesting thing. What is an Arab? Is a Syrian an Arab? Are they Assyrian? This thing, people just took on this label. It doesn't really mean anything. It's like saying, well, you speak Lugat al-Arabiya. Great. Okay. But guess who ran the Muslim world? It wasn't Arabs. The most successful empire that ran Muslims were Turks. The Ottoman Empire. So, I mean, like, the Arabs were not very successful in leadership for 600 to 700 years. Who ran the Muslim world? Turkish people did. I'm like,
but they're the ones who dropped the ball, though.
Yeah, well, they dropped the ball after like 600, 700 years. Like, of course, there's corruption. I mean, that's a long time. That's almost a millennia. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive. And how long did the Arabs last? Not too long.
Not long.
But the Arabs started spreading it. They spread it to great extents.
But they couldn't maintain it.
Yeah, but the Ottomans, they were also not human, so they were otters. That's the problem. They were otter. They were a mix of otter and human, which is what made them superior to other humans, and it made it easier for them to conquer them because of their huge appearance of being half otter, half human. They made it. They were very, very, very intimidating to regular humans. Yeah.
So AP is basically saying that the message has been colonized.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Isa,
absolutely.
Why were the companions of Muhammad such gooners? What's that word mean, AP?
Yeah, what's
a gooner? Huh?
I know the Goonies. I like the Goonies. That's a good movie. If you saw that.
Hey, yeah. I watched that like 900 times when I was a kid. I could probably quote the entire movie. So we're on the same page there.
That's a great movie.
You look a little too young to remember that.
You don't want to know what a gooner is.
You don't want to know? Well, how's he going to?
I have no idea.
Yeah, how's he going to answer the question? Why don't you answer on his behalf, knowing what gooners are when we don't?
It's a stupid question. It is a recent word on people who it's kind of a weirdly sexual term.
Oh,
Don't want to get into it.
no wonder AP starts giggling about it. All right, last one here. Muslims don't follow the 10 commandments of Judaism and Christianity, therefore they don't worship the same God, so Islam can't be their final update. Asa, you want to respond to this? You can
So I
give your
wanted to
defense.
ask you, AP, is a gooner someone?
Oh,
who
he's
watches
still
it?
on Goon. Oh my goodness! Now
I wanted to make sure. If
I
this
want
is
to look
correct.
I want to look it up, but I'm worried about what the search results are going to show if since
So-
AP's got the giggles over this.
It is somebody who looks
What
for
adult-
an extended amount of time at
adult
content
entertainment.
that makes one sexually interested and aroused.
Got it.
Without
That's what I
getting
was
to the
thinking it
point.
was.
With this.
Got it. So it was a joke. The person made a joke.
Yes.
Muslims don't follow the Ten Commandments. Okay. I think this is my problem. It's like a no true Scotsman. I think some Muslims do, and some Muslims. It just depends on the Muslim. So it just depends on what the Muslim values. And it's interesting because there's a hadith that talks about this where it says the narrative is that there are 71 sects of Jews, 72 sects of Christians, and 73 sects of Muslims.
Yeah.
So there are 73 groups. Which of these groups is it?
Do you see?
David is laughing, of course. Now
I'm laughing for looking at you getting the grin because he said sects,
David
and
is
every
thinking
time
of
anyone says sects, AP starts giggling because he's like, oh, it's like sex.
What a fruitless conversation.
Yeah, I know. You can't say anything. You can't even, we need a completely different word for various sects because otherwise AP is going to giggle forever anytime anyone mentions.
Isa is immediately attacking other religions again, saying, look, all religions, and then
You see?
Oh.
To Isa, do you have any thoughts on Ahmed Massoud and the NRF in Afghanistan and his father Ahmed Shah Massoud? Ahmed Massoud caused some controversy not long ago by saying he could use Israel's help. Do you have any idea what this is about? I don't.
Well, I think it could be connected with maybe the Pakistan situation. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know who the NRF. I wish there was some context for that, but I think a lot of Afghanis have been pushed out of Pakistan. So that's a big issue that's existing right now. So the NRF is the National Resistance Front for Afghanistan. It's a anti-Taliban fighters. So these are folks who are against maybe the military alliance of former Northern Alliance members and other anti-Taliban fighters. Okay. So it says I don't know a lot about this because this isn't my particular field, but if that's the case, I understand that. Israel has done very good in building alliances. And this is a really interesting thing because people are saying, well, Israel just hates Muslims and wants it. They use this word genocide, which I think is a really terrible word to use. And it's really dishonest and disingenuous to the conversation. And it's going to alienate people. If you say that Israel's doing genocide, no one wants to hear what you have to say after that. You're just like, look, I'm checked out.
College students do.
And it's disgusting. And then that's why a lot of the Jewish students are like, I don't want to hear what these students have to say. You're attacking me. You're not fair to my position. You're not fair to my community. Why would I have to listen to anything you have to say? And I think that's not the right term. You can say maybe the war is prosecuted wrongly and it could be prosecuted differently. That's a better position. It's a more fair position. No one did this when the United States went into Iraq. It wasn't the same situation, right? Or when the U.S. went into Japan after Pearl Harbor, no one is talking about these types of, or Dresden in Germany, no one is talking about this, but they're like, this is genocide. And I'm like, look, this is a terrible situation and you need to have a better way of engaging it if you want peace. But the situation of all these terrible conflicts is we need to look for kind of the best route towards peace, but it's a lot of hard work.
If one was to edge while mewing to Beta Mike Winger, would that make you a Sigma Muhammad type gooner, or would the riz of being from Ohio be too much for a Skibbity Hodge? AP
It sounds
viewer, by the way, enjoy the brain rot.
good. Thank you for reading that, David.
Yeah, I don't know if someone who's familiar with these words would know what this is saying, or if it's just gibberish. But
I know I know everything that it is saying. It's just a bunch of dumb thoughts put together to just include certain things to make you say them. That's it.
yeah, but to be fair, whenever anyone thinks of Mike Winger, a bunch of like dumb thoughts come together. You know what I mean? It's like bound to happen. Issa, from your reading and interpretation, how would you describe Muhammad's personality to someone who knows nothing about him? And then we'll have AP for the rebuttal.
Well, honestly speaking,
Don't get scared now.
I would take what AP is right about the message. It is sanitized. It is a sanitized version, and I'm not gonna lie that. But I would say that that's the story that I would want to go with. The other story is deeply problematic for me personally. All that stuff about the Maria the Copt and those things in the traditions are very difficult, problematic things for me personally, and I would not want to give a prophet in that way. But yeah, I would try to say it's hard. It's a very hard thing to communicate, but I'm going to try to do my best in communicating it. Like in our conversation that we had in Texas, like I would say, okay, this is a person, this is a prophetic figure who was connected to the traditions of the Hebrew prophets, and was trying to convey the teaching of the one God. That's the kind of way that I would convey it. But I think there's many ways that you could convey it.
Do you agree or not, AP?
No.
Okay.
So we could go lengthily into why and why not. The thing is, as much as I understand, Isa, as much as I understand your desire for it to be not the way it is traditionally depicted, but to be the way it is, for example, depicted in the message, there is simply not much ground and not much evidence to say that Muhammad was actually as he is depicted in the message. The evidence from, if you take everything into consideration, all the sources about Muhammad, the hadith, the Sahih hadith, especially if you take those into consideration, and in fact, I have a book that very nicely compiles all the mutawatir hadith, the hadith. The mutawatir hadith, which are the major
AP always try to be like me.
Corroborating hadith from multiple transmitters, which are thought to be the most authentic hadiths. Even those depict a very grim Muhammad. So if you want to go with the evidence of whatever people said and narrated about him, I would say it's very far from a peaceful and just figure. And even the relocation from Mecca to Medina, which is depicted as fleeing from the oppression by the polytheists, even that aspect is actually twisted, because the polytheists, the pagans, didn't really have that big of a problem with the Muslims and with Muhammad. It was more that Muhammad was very antagonistic in his message, increasingly antagonistic, which created more and more hostility. And it was indeed the Islamic side, Muhammad's side, that provoked the first war between the first battle and the first actual war between the Muslims and the polytheists. The pagans seemingly didn't really care anymore after the Muslims left for Medina, but Muhammad's raids provoked the first war, and eventually led to the defeat and destruction of the Meccan pagans and all that. So the Muslims weren't the victims. Muhammad wasn't the victim here. And aside from all the moral aspects of the sexual stuff and the marriages and all that, just even looking at the history of the development and the politics of Muhammad and the Muslims, I would say Muhammad was not a nice figure, and the Muslims were not the victims.
Two quick things. One, people are pointing out that mutawatir sounds like mutawatir. And they're saying that sounds gross. But side note, if you want to respond to what AP says, Issa, you can.
I understand what AP is saying, and it's one of the difficult things. This is why the Muslim community is really divided, because you have different visions. Like an Ismaili would take, like with the Aga Khan, they take a very different kind of view of who this prophet is, and it is interesting. So if you take the Sirah, Ibn Ishaq, you take Tabari, you take all of these source material, you do have a certain person that's very different than some people view it, and then you have people who see this material and that is who. So the prophet is a very different figure based on what is viewed as evidence. And if you take like a Sufi narrative, there's other kinds of like inspirational types of evidences that people use, which is not based on history. It's a more religious, spiritual evidence, and that's a different kind of space altogether. But if we take these sources, I can see where AP is coming from in his argument in this situation. And it's not easy for me to hear that, but I understand that is, I get that case. I understand that case. And then there are people who are like academics, like you have someone like Dr. Joshua Little, who says, are these, they say, well, it's Orientalist, but I don't think Orientalism is bad. I take a different position. A lot of people think Orientalism is really bad, but I'm like, I said this in our conversation, AP, where I said, I think ex-Muslims need to have conversation with Muslims because they have a different kind of viewpoint than Muslims do. If you're in an echo chamber and you have no challenge, then you're just going to keep repeating what everybody else is saying. You need to be challenged and you need to grow and say, well, are my views coherent? Are they correct? Are they right? And do I need to fix them? Do I need to adapt them? Do I need to grow? And when I hear people talking about hadith, it's very bizarre because the hadith sciences are very strange to me as a scientific system, because the way that it is, it's good people said good things. That's literally what the whole science is. We don't have anything deeper than that. It's that we don't know if the material is true. All we know is it's claimed that this good person said it, and he told this other good person, and they told this other good person, and that makes it true. And I'm like, well, where's the veracity? If I use a scientific method of testing it, I can't test it. That's unreliable. I can't repeat that test. How do I even know if this person said it? How about if someone lied? What is the test to prove that someone didn't lie and just insert someone's name there? We don't know. There is really no way of proving that. And that's a problem. That's a real problem of trying to say that this is, first account. And as Dr. Joshua Little says in his thesis on this, he makes an argument that he makes 21 cases of the unreliability and the difficulty of taking the hadith as a scientific source. He's like, it's anachronistic. And he also says that there's a lot of hadith that seem to reinforce the people of the time that they're revealed. So I think that is another issue. There's a lot of issues that I think we need to engage and be fair with.
Yeah. So I would, I'm kind of able to look at it from both perspectives, but if you look at it from kind of both perspectives, I think AP would agree here. Yeah, if you take these hadiths, if you take the Sunni hadith collections as seriously as Sunni Muslims do and think that there are these awesome sources of reliable information, you have a ton of problems. If you treat them as unreliable, you have significantly fewer problems, but you also don't have enough. You don't have a lot to go on as far as figuring out Muhammad. Like once you say, "Hey, I don't believe these sources anymore," and if you've just kind of got the Quran or maybe some things in the hadiths that you do take seriously, even if you're regarding them as generally unreliable, it's just like Muhammad's some guy and we don't know much about him. So how do we know enough about him to say whether we believe in him or not or something like that? But I have to say, I don't think that would be as much of a problem from like a Sufi perspective as it would be. In other words, I think like, when it comes to Islam, I think like a Sunni Muslim about it, and that if you're rejecting these sources, you don't have anything to go on. But if you're looking at it from a completely different angle, then you might come to a different conclusion.
That's really fair. I think it's a fair thing if we are, and I've seen a lot of like rationale, like people try to rationalize these sources. Like that's what Ali Dawa was saying in his argument. He was like, well, you know that the
Uh-oh.
6 years old to 9 years
Hey,
old
that's pretty good.
actually happened. And I was like, and you listen to that and you're like, and he doesn't actually provide us evidence, which I think is bizarre. He just tells us, and he does this weird thing where he makes up a story, but he doesn't actually qualify his story, which I think is problematic in his narrative. What is his evidence for it? Why is this good? See, with the other wives, you can make an argument. Muslims make an argument. So Hassan and Jamal make an argument. They were like, well, these women needed to be married to the Prophet because it created bonds with different clans. You know, it was a political maneuver. It wasn't about sexual gratification. That's the argument that folks use. But with this other situation, he could have married Asma. Asma was around maybe a late teenager, according to the narrative. But you know, like, why not Asma? Like, it's an interesting question. You know, I don't think she was married at the time. I'm not sure, but I think I don't remember exactly, but I think that is a case. So I'm like, I don't know. It's a very strange thing that you want to hold on to. I don't see what you win. So this is my position with these arguments. Please.
Other wives also outlived Aisha.
Yeah.
So it was totally, and by kind of making it about this whole necessity or the utility of marrying Aisha because she was at such a young age and it was a perfect opportunity, kind of to me it implies that Allah deliberately creates an environment where this is the only option. You know, like there's no other way. It's like this is Allah's great plan. That doesn't make much sense to me, honestly.
One thing too, and this is something that I always have a problem with, and I think you should have pushed even further, David, on the argument of tahrif, the corruption of the text. I think Daniel was trying to take the position that these texts are corrupted. What happens with some of these arguments, if we're looking philosophically and logically, is what you're doing is you're winning a battle and you're losing a war. You're winning a battle and losing a war, where you're like, well, these things don't seem to corroborate what I'm saying. So they have to be false and wrong. Well, if you do that, then you say a lot of bad things about God. You're saying that God is a trickster or God is weak. This is a bad position to be in. Or you could just say, look, all of these texts are real. I don't know what they mean. God knows what they mean. And you might lose that battle where you're taking a weak position, but then you don't defame God. You don't blaspheme God. And that's the interesting thing. I'm like, when you take that position, you're blaspheming God according to your own narrative. If you're taking this really dogmatic position, I'm like, you're doing innovation. The tahrif position is an innovation, you know? So.
All right, a few more super chats. The companions weren't gooners. Why were they creeping at Momo's outhouse? That is true. You got these sources out, everyone paying attention to what goes on around Muhammad's outhouse and so on. So I guess I'm starting to understand the definition of a gooner a little bit. That was the best interview with Andrew Gold, AP, shared with family. Glad you went. God bless and protect you and whole family.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. It was very
good
nice.
interview. Now let's say, hypothetically, I failed my edge while gooning in a casino. Would that change the fake?
Stop.
Just
No.
stop now? Okay.
Yes, stop.
Okay. He's telling me. I like the picture, though. It's Ali Dawa getting graped in the mouth. Well, oh, wait, there's another one?
Oh, man.
So here's another one. I guess I won't be reading this one either because I don't understand any of it. Andrew Tate, 420, or baby Grunt worth more. AP says, hey, I would have read it, but AP says no. K Forcer says, Issa, how to see Jinnah's legacy, and do you think he was a legitimate champion of religious tolerance and minority rights, as many represent him to be? What's up with him?
This is actually a good question because this is something that I know about. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, or Qadi Azam, it was the founder of Pakistan. And he's actually compared to Theodore Herzl in a lot of ways because they were like secular folks. Muhammad Ali Jinnah was not actually a Sunni Muslim. He was actually an Ismaili, which is a kind of a form of a Shia, very kind of progressive, liberal, like, if we want to use these words. Like, they were more, I guess...
they tend to be a little more philosophical in my experience.
Philosophical, yeah. And they're not really... You don't have to necessarily do the prayers. It's not fixated on that type of things. It's much more like be a good human being, that kind of stuff. He married a Zoroastrian woman, so his kids were Zoroastrian. I think he drank, he smoked. So a lot of people are like,
AP's going, yes, my new hero.
So they're like, and there's another cool story too. They made a movie about him, and it's played by Dracula himself, Christopher Lee, as well as Saruman and Count Dooku. And he's a James Bond villain, the man with the golden gun, Scaramanga. So Christopher Lee plays Muhammad Ali Jinnah in Jinnah the movie.
Hey, that dude was an actual killer, man.
Who? Christopher Lee?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He was a Nazi hunter after World War II. He was one of the guys who went down, who hunted and assassinated Nazis.
Really? I didn't know that. That's a cool thing. See?
Hey, since you like movie trivia, I know AP's gonna freak out, but we're almost done. Since you like movie trivia, there's that scene in Lord of the Rings where he gets stabbed in the back by Wormtongue. I saw the interview with him, and the director, Peter Jackson, is telling him to go when he gets stabbed and make some noise, and he kept refusing to do it. And he said, Peter Jackson said, all of a sudden Christopher Lee comes up beside him, and he goes, "That's not the sound a man makes when you stab him in the back and it goes into his lungs. All you hear is." That's it. It's like he's telling you, you don't know what it's actually like to plunge a blade into someone's back. Wow. I do. And I'm telling you, that's not the sound someone makes. It's pretty brutal. Because he was
also connected to Tolkien.
Yeah,
he was connected to Tolkien and Charlemagne. I think he was a relative of Charlemagne or Charles Martel. He was like a descendant. So, yeah.
It's I don't know. It's like
one thing to answer.
I just want to say it's a pretty cool life if you're a Nazi hunter and then become an actor. You know what I mean? How'd you spend? Well, I spent the first part of my life hunting Nazis and killing them and assassinating them, and then became an actor. Lord of the Rings. Pretty big.
And to finish the answer to that question about Muhammad Ali Jinnah, did he create a legacy for Islam? Or can I see that question again? Could you go back to that?
Magic.
Oh, yeah. A minority rights represent him to be. I think he had an intention for that, and I think he tried to do that, but it was hard because there wasn't a placement in that society of Pakistan to protect minority rights. See, the difference between Israel and Pakistan, which I think is really stark, is if you're a minority, you can't have rights to the leadership. So, for example, in Israel, if you're an Arab, you're a Druze, you're a Muslim, you can become a part of the Knesset, right? But if you're in Pakistan, you can't. And that's a huge difference. And you bring that up and they're like, well, that's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not fine. That's wrong. I'm like, you're abusing your minorities. You're saying your minority is a second-class citizen. And I'm like, that's horrible to do in your society. And Pakistan has a lot of real issues. It's got a lot of issues, like terrible for the Ahmadiyya, terrible for the Ismailis, terrible for the Ithni Asharis, terrible for Christians, Hindus, Sikhs. If you're not a Punjabi or a Pathan Sunni Muslim, it's pretty bad. It's not your paradise, So I think he tried, but then you had people like Muhammad Ziaul Haq, Aga Yahya Khan. Do you know about Bangladesh? Are you familiar with what happened in Bangladesh or East Pakistan? We keep hearing about this situation with the Palestinian situation, but there used to be East and West Pakistan. East Pakistan is called
Didn't Pakistan massacre
yes.
the Bangladeshis?
That's correct. In 1971. That is 100% correct. And I learned that when I was doing my master's program. I was like, holy shoot, no one knows about this. And no one talks about it. It's horrendous. And I'm like, where are the human rights talking points for Bangladeshis? A certain population of their population was annihilated. And it was not like, if we take Israel's statistics about the killing of Palestinians, the number after 75 years at most, like a maximum number might be like 100,000. That's a maximum number. And it's probably not even close to that. You go to what happened in Pakistan.
Nowhere close to that. Nowhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's like a maximum. Like you can't even go beyond that. I'm saying if you go to Pakistan and you go to Bangladesh, there's like millions of people in 1 year. In 1 year. And I'm like, why aren't we talking about this? You're saying all these people are being killed. I'm like, you're not being fair and you're not being honest to the conversation. So, and we want to support Palestinian lives, but there has to be a path to getting there. We have to, there's this evil terrorist organization and they have to be dismantled, and there needs to be a route to doing this. And there needs to be a route for good Palestinian leadership that wants to live peacefully with Israel. That's the way that we have to go.
I'll do it.
And it's going to be hard and maybe it's impossible, but that's what we need. So,
you know what?
Me and AP in charge.
Yeah, precisely. You know what? Nasrallah just said in his speech today or yesterday was that he said so he threatens war against Israel, and his wording was this will be a devastating war for you without any rules and any roof. So we will just do whatever we want to kill you and destroy you. That's what Nasrallah is openly saying, what Hezbollah is openly threatening. If a war broke out now, tomorrow, between Israel and Hezbollah, Hezbollah would directly abide by what he said, because they are lawless. They don't care about human rights. They don't care about the Geneva Convention. They don't care about the United Nations and all that. They do whatever they want. They are terrorists for a reason. They hijacked an entire state for their purpose and engage in terrorism, encourage suicide bombings, and all kinds of different things. He openly and clearly and explicitly said there will be no rules in this war. We will destroy you in the worst ways possible. If now a war broke out and Hezbollah did precisely that and massacred or attempted to massacre people left and right, who people would still
Blame
only
Israel?
criticize Israel in this entire thing and blame it all on Israel.
Yep.
This is the messed up world, the double standards that we're dealing with.
You have the prediction here, folks. Let's see what happens. You had the prediction from AP on what's going to happen if the fighting escalates there. Who's going to be blamed? JJ here. No comment. Does Sunan Ibn Majah 4096 apply to you three? That's about the Turks, one of AP's favorite passages. It was narrated from Abu Huraira, conveying it from the Prophet. The hour will not begin until you fight people with shoes of hair, and the hour will not begin until you fight people with small eyes. So this is about Turks. Turks have small eyes. Do you guys still wear shoes of hair? Shoes made of hair?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, all the time, actually. Sometimes, always, sometimes. But this is just one of those hadiths that are obviously made up.
Yeah, no.
Obviously made, obviously fabricated after
even though it's
Muhammad.
even though they're Sahih, obviously made up. I agree.
Yeah. I doubt that Muhammad ever said anything about Turks, or about even Mongolians or anything else for that matter. These are all clearly made up in a time where Turks and Central Asian or East Asian people became a question to the Muslims and became a threat, and interactions with them started. This is a hoax.
Indeed. Solaria says the personality. Oh, they're talking about what Muhammad's personality was, but Solaria is kind of mean and isn't nice to our Muslim guests. The personality, an ignorant, tragic figure who was greatly gullible and was gradually corrupted by evil spirits and bad company. He slowly became more violent, sex-hungry, greedy, angry, pitiable. Gosh, tell us what you really think, Solaria.
That's the most racist thing I've heard in my entire life.
Stop holding back, Solaria. Holding back. Trying to tickle everyone's ears with being nice.
Most racist thing ever.
It was pretty racist. Lloyd says, thank you for answering my questions, Issa, but your answer was only describing some things Muhammad did, but nothing describing his personality or character. So I guess, what do you mean personality-wise? You're talking about like one of those personality tests? Like,
So in that narrative, they said that, you know, again, I'm not going to disagree with AP. It is a sanitized version. So I'm already going to give the disclaimer to that. But in the version, you have the prophet who is kind of forgiving, who's understanding. And I know that this may not match what we see in the Sirah and the Sunnah tradition. I'm not going to deny that. But you see someone who cares about the orphan, you know, a Sadiq, a truthful, an arbiter, someone who is patient. These are the kind of things, you know, someone who cares about those who are disenfranchised, an equalizer, someone who, you know, at least for the time, supports women. This is the kind of narrative, at least that I saw growing up as a child. You know, becoming an academic, it's more complex, but you know.
Monkey here says, why do so many Christians argue amongst themselves about the nature of God and Jesus? Isn't it just to do what Jesus asked of you? Follow his example, fight your evil desires with the strength given by God to be able to do his will, like one sees in the Sermon on the Mount. Yeah, there's no either, or. You don't have to pick. You don't have to pick like, oh, do we want to be accurate about the nature of God or follow the example of Jesus? Ideally, you would be doing both. You would follow the teachings of Jesus, but the Christian idea is if God has revealed things about himself, then why wouldn't you want to know those things? And why wouldn't you want to be accurate about them? AP's, what sort of dumb thing is going to say?
By just asking why they are fighting and how they shouldn't fight and focus on this, you have already joined the fight. Congratulations.
Yeah, you're in here trying to correct Christians on everything and stuff. Why don't you just be nice?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Here's AP's buddy again. Now let's say Muhammad bussing down with Aiden Ross in Palestine. Is bussing mean riding a bus or something sick and perverted?
I don't think that has a very bad meaning. You can continue.
So, okay. So he's bussing. All right, bussing with Aiden Ross in Palestine would mean that it was all for clout, or Muhammad just going for the victory royale. I don't know. Ever since Aiden Ross sniffed Andrew Tate's chair, never been able to. Oh, wait, now they're all doing it. Rizzler Muhammad, always on the lookout for Pampers ghee. I don't understand anything anyone's saying at all.
It's Gen Z language. It's Gen Z language.
Yeah, and that it's become. I hope this doesn't become a joke on the show to use a bunch of Gen Z language with the old guy who doesn't understand it all. Lloyd says, to flip my question, Issa. Here we go, Issa. To flip my question, Issa, if someone asked you to describe Yeshua to someone who knew nothing about him, how would you describe him? Oh, that was a follow-up to how would you describe Muhammad? How would you describe Jesus to someone who knew nothing about him?
I don't think there's much controversy here. It's a lot easier to do that. Like, you can just say that this is a person who was really cared about everyone around them, around him. I think depending on what narrative we're looking at, if we're trying to make a historical narrative, you could say he's a wandering mendicant that went around and basically served his community and, preached about God and stood for what he believed in no matter what, and was fearless. The way another way that I would explain it, Jesus, is that Yeshua, Yehoshua, he is one who is kind, empathetic, loving, is also very witty and smart, and is able to kind of disable and really engage very kind of witty interlocutors. So he's a very great debater and philosopher. So I would say that all of these types of things, a healer, a truth speaker, all of that.
King Dynasty said, I should use Chat GPT-4 to translate the Gen Z language.
That
King
was
Dynasty.
pretty buzz.
On what planet do I know how to use Chat GPT for?
That explanation was pretty buzzing, to be honest. So
Yeah, that's good. Let's see. We got more here. AP is mad. He is the one not getting to read the brain rot, but don't listen to him. Sigma David, keep reading, or you're an edging soy Jack Wingoling. I feel like that's an insult. David, what? David,
No.
you, Nabil, and Brother Rashid changed my life. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. Uh-oh. What is this? Some Turkish gibberish? Is that... What are you guys laughing at? What are you laughing at? You know what this means?
Det var så komiskt söyle mig bırakması gereken bir things Google. This is it's a pathetic attempt at Google translating something into Turkish about AP being beta for telling David not to read the brain rot.
Nice. Hey, this is actually connecting some things. Turks have the smallest straps. They have little eyes. They have the smallest leather straps of the anus. I need a video PSA about how Hamas, Hezbollah, Iranian regime, and Qatar are connected. I need a summary to help people understand.
Nice.
AP, you might want to make one of those. You know who'd be good at that? Armin. He follows all that stuff.
No, you know who would actually be good? There's a channel that is called, I think, Caspian. I think that channel actually did something recently. And if I find what I was looking for, I saw a little summary from an actual good source recently.
Then you will share that? Okay.
I'll share it.
All right, there you go. AP said he has such a good summary, and he will share that. The Zoomer apocalypse is nigh. Dawood is finished. That's good. Zoomers. I still don't even know what those... How dare you? It's not Gen Z. It's Gen Alpha. Gyat means butt. Bussin means good. Usually in food terms, Riz is like flirting. So in your face, AP. You don't even know what these things mean.
Yeah,
all right,
Riz
everyone. All right, everyone. We've been going for 1,000 years. What you got going on tomorrow, AP?
Tomorrow I want to go live with you and me. Actually tomorrow in the afternoon sometime I'm going to finally have a conversation with that Iranian ex-Muslim woman, Sana Ibrahimi. Was supposed to happen last week but didn't happen. And then at night we're supposed to go live, you and me. Mm-hmm. And I have a plan that I want to briefly share with you. Yeah,
all right. We'll see how awful it is. And Issa, final thoughts here before we close out.
I just want to thank you all for having a wonderful evening with you tonight and talking about a lot of really cool things. And it's a pleasure to see both of you again. It's been quite a while since we saw each other, from our conversations on Modern Day Debates. And I did see you recently on another chat, David, but I think that still was a while back. And I really think it's important to have deep conversations and be open. And I hope we as a society can come and learn how to come together and have unity and get out of these like really toxic, aggressive spaces and hopefully support a better future. Thank you.
And the way out of the toxicity is to be even more toxic.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
Final super chat here. Drake says the Ottomans were basically furries with the covered in hair.
Yeah.
I guess that explains a few things about the depravity of Turkey. Yes, finally someone said it. As far as I'm concerned, you can never say too much about the depravity of Turkey. All right, everyone. Catch y'all later. If you missed it, I shared a video about the trip to the UK. Fun stuff in there. Fun stuff. And catch y'all tomorrow over on APs.
See you.